What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Hope. Another episode. It's good to see some smiling faces out here in the audience as well as online. We're excited to be back together again. Last week again was crazy. Last week was crazy. So it's again one of them ones. If you ain't listened to it, or if you listened to it partially, might want to listen to it again because that shit was dope. It was really insightful, and I'm sure he's gonna continue to dig down on it. But we're back with the 1-2 punches. We got fire today, and hopefully there's some value that we can add to you. So I got a lot to discuss, and I'm sure Nana does too. So let's jump right into it. There's any announcements? Anything? Nope. We solid. All right. So we're talking about ego a little bit today. Don't run out. Don't leave the room. Let's go to the next slide. So let's recap. We're going to recap a little bit from the class before. Two things that stood out from the class. One, none of this shit works without self-control and self-discipline. None of it. You can be the most skilled in the game. You can have the best plan in the game. You can have the rawest strategy in the game. But if you don't have self-discipline and self-control, then it does you no good. Because we all heard that same cliche statement. It was over 1,000 times said that everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? But if you break that statement down, what it is saying is everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And without self-discipline and self-control, you will not be able to respond in a manner in which that can help you win, period. The whole point of that statement, it revolves around self-discipline and self-control. So if you get punched in the face, your body wants to collapse or fall or scream or run. That's what happens. Fight, flight, freeze. But self-discipline and self-control says, I have a rhythm and routine that when I get punched in the face, I take a deep breath, or I back up, or I open my eyes wide. I do something that triggers me, shifts me back in the game to keep me here. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work because your natural response, and even if you're a fighter, when you get punched in your face, you may have a complete strategy around how to fight a particular individual because you watched all his tapes, his videos, you learn the counters. He does this, he does that. But when you get punched in the face, even the fighters will go straight to start windmilling. Head down windmill. Head down windmill. Because in your mind, you think that's the best strategy. It just takes over you. And it takes over your mind telling you this is the best way. Even though you watched the videos and tapes. Even though you sat there with your trainer and went over everything. And you still start windmilling. And all of that is a result of a lack of self-control and a lack of self-discipline. So how does it relate to entrepreneurship? Every interaction that we have as an entrepreneur, with customers, with our team, with ourselves, if we don't have self-control and self-discipline, we're fucked. Just we are. And we all seen hella smart people lose in life. We've seen hella brilliant minds. I know I have. We from the Bay. I don't, like wherever you guys are, I'm sure you've seen it. But the Bay, man, we're full of creative black folks. Creative, brilliant, smart black folks. And it's not lack of self-control even around drugs and alcohol. It's basic lack of emotional agility. So, and that goes to the next topic, is all my friends that perform at a high level, there's a level of cool that they have now. There's a level of cool that they have now because of years of performing, years of growth, and now you get to be a little cooler because it's less stress. But on the way to the journey, you don't think about being cool. That cool shit is not there. You ain't tripping off being cool. You're concentrating on how do I win? How do I build my strategies? How do I execute? How do I build some disciplines inside of myself to make sure I'm consistent? You ain't thinking about cool. If I look dumb, so what? If I look disheveled, so what? If I look broke today, so what? If I'm broke today, so what? If I got the same old shoes I had on for a whole year, so what? I got a plan. But a lot of us, because of lack of self-control and lack of self-discipline, we trying to be cool all the time on the way up to our success. We trying to be cool at stage 1. Bruh, sis, no. Why are you trying to be cool now? You ain't got shit. You ain't got nothing. Learn how to be good. The cool comes. Maybe, but if it don't, so what? But the cool come later. That's why the whole ego topic is going to be a dope one, because it's time. It's time to talk about it. And look, who we are. We already got a percentage of cool in us anyway. That comes with the genetics. So stop trying to be cool when you're trying to build something, because those two don't go together. Remember the movie Revenge of the Nerds? What year was that? Late 80s? Late 80s? That was in the movie theater. Nerds were so laughed at that it was big enough of a marketing strategy to make movies about nerds. Was it more than one? Revenge of the Nerds 1, 2, 3. Guess what? All them nerds are the CEOs and founders of the companies you want to work for. That's the Revenge of the Nerds. All them little Dungeons and Dragons nerds that was in your high school that y'all laughed at, that wasn't cool and dressed weird, them the dudes that run these companies that we all want to work for. Google, Yahoo, Facebook. Because the concentration was on building, learning, expanding, getting tools to get better. We got, like, self-control and self-discipline is way bigger than I'm not going to get drunk on Friday nights. I'm going to stop smoking weed. It's way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. It's if somebody triggers you by saying something slick that would normally have you go off on them, and you in a position where you may lose a friendship, a deal, a relationship, anything, do you have the tools to be able to back up off it and walk away, or say, give me 5 minutes, or the emotional agility to stay in the pocket and continue to have uncomfortable conversations? That's what that's also about. It's deeper than I'm not going to cheat. This is part of the fabric of how you entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs I know have a super high level of self-control and self-discipline in large amounts. Now, it may manifest in some ways and not be there in others, but self-control and self-discipline is massive. So that's a practice. And it's only you know. You know your dark side, your shadows, your weaknesses, and your strengths, but it's a tool and it's a muscle that you got to exercise. Even the little shit. That's why we gonna go back to working out. Also, by the way, shout out to all the Hope folks I'll be seeing at the gym. I love that. Yeah. I love that. It's hella tight. Hella tight. Sis was like, hey, give me a sneak peek of what's going on in class today. Like, I was hella dope. But I see y'all getting it. Y'all getting it. So super respect to y'all. Second one, integrity. Uphold integrity. Now, we are in a world right now, this is a tough part, because it feels collapsy, right? Morals, values is kind of gone. Everybody got OnlyFans. Everybody got OnlyFans. Everybody scamming. Everybody OnlyFans scamming, doing some crazy shit, right? Like, the religious values are gone, right? Because of collapse of religion. So we ain't going to church like we used to go. And so a lot of times, and it's easy to start getting lax on what you consider integrity. Integrity is, I'm a person of my word. What I say I'm going to do. How I treat people, how I move, how I respond. Like, there's integrity there, layers there, even when ain't nobody looking. Even when ain't nobody looking. Now, we ain't angels in this motherfucker, but at the same time, you live by a particular code of integrity and a mode. Then over time, that's going to compound in how people treat you, respond to you, respect you, want to do business with you. Just it's real shit. Integrity is important. Like, you don't want people throwing dirt on your name, and it's real dirt. You don't want real dirt being thrown on your name. Not as a business person, not as an entrepreneur. You want to be like, wait, what? I did what? Come say that to my face. Tell me what happened. I did this. I did, like, you 100% sure that that's it? Like, you want to, it has to be real. And guess what integrity does? I'm sorry you had that experience. I'm sorry you had that experience. That's not how we operate as a company. So let me fix it for you. Let me fix it for you. Here, let me figure out how to fix it for you. The goal at my company is, if we fuck some shit up, I want to make the customer happier. Like, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but how can we make the customer happy when they walk out this door, even though we messed up? Because our name is everything. Integrity is everything. It's a true story. And as an entrepreneur, you play in a long game. The long game says, I want to be here 10 years from now. I want to be in this city 10 years from now. I want to be in this vicinity, meaning when the spot get hot, I'm going to move to a town that don't know me. Then I got a relative. I won't say who the relative is or how close he is to us in the family tree. But real handsome, good looking, and he would just terrorize a city till it gets hot, till everybody want to kill him, and then he disappear and end up in a new town. You run out of towns at a certain point. You run out of towns. You can't be no entrepreneur like that. Integrity is important. So there's whatever your values are, whatever church you go to. It used to be, that's in the Bible, right? It's in the Bible or it's in a book. But even outside of the book, the laws of entrepreneurship says I have to maintain a high level of integrity. Any questions on the recap? Anybody want to argue with me on it?
Yeah, how do I look cool if you guys have?
What, Josh? What? Man, moving on. Next slide. Okay. Efficient versus effective. Doing things right versus doing the right things. Now, it may not particularly you, but do you know somebody who's hella busy all the time and ain't got no money?
So many.
Running around hella crazy busy, but got nothing to show for it? That's on the side of being efficient. A lot of times people are so focused on doing things right that they don't do the right stuff. Do you know somebody who seems hella disheveled and like unorganized and like, but they making crazy money? And you're like, how do they do it? Like, this should be like, they would die without me because I'm so organized and I keep them together. Because you know what they do? They may not be organized, but they're doing the right things. They're effective. I may do 2 things today, but those 2 things are going to be the right things. And you got a list of 100 things that you get all 100 done, and none of them are the right things. The things that move your needle forward, things that make you money, the things that convert, that translate. And it gets confusing because if you came from the corporate world like I did, the whole goal was to look busy as hell and not get much done. Look busy as hell. Type in, you got your internet right behind the screen, bus come up, you pop it back open like you're doing some work. Like the whole goal is to look busy. Run around being, so over time you emulate that rhythm and you don't get the right things done. You have to understand when you making your list, you got to look at the first principles and the second order effects of your list. Okay, I'm doing this today. What is my net from it? Can I delegate this? Can I not do it? What does this give me? How long is this going to take me? Like, understand efficiency versus effectiveness. That should be the looming thought in your brain every single day as you're doing stuff, as you're working, as you're executing. Efficiency versus effectiveness. How effective is this?
Hey,
Kaja,
Corey.
what's up, Kaja?
I have a question about that.
Yes.
I always thought and certainly behaved as though efficiencies should make you less busy. The efficiencies are there to take those 100 things and maybe make them 25 so that you have more time to be effective versus the efficiencies being the list of 100 things.
Well, if you're efficient inside the effective things, so that's Six Sigma at that point. So that's TPM and Six Sigma, and that is good, which means I have to get this large impact thing done, right? And I'm doing the right thing. Now, every day that I do it, how can I do it a little bit better? How can I become more efficient? How can I do it in less time? Like, that's within the doing the right thing. But if you step outside of that and say, what am I going to do today? And if your list consists of just efficiencies and not things that are effective, which means things that move the needle forward, things that get you from step 1 to step 2 in your business, things that convert. Here's one example. Again, not you, but maybe you know somebody. I want to start this business. What's the business? I want to sell sweet potato pies. I make the best sweet potato pies in Oakland. Smacking, like make you slap somebody, if not your mama, somebody, right? Cool, good, okay, well, what do we do now? All right, I'm gonna hire 510 Media to make my logo. I'm spend $2,000 on the logo. I'm gonna spend $5,000 on the website. I'm gonna spend another $5,000 getting PR and marketing done. I'm gonna figure out what my colors are. I'm gonna do all these things surrounding the business that sound so good. It sounds so efficient to the average ear, to the layperson's ear, I call them civilian, to the civilian ear. Oh yeah, paying for the website, paying for the logo, cool. I'm gonna go buy I'm gonna sell merch. You know, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna find all the farmers markets to see where I can sell. And you come up with a whole game plan of stuff to do around this selling sweet potato pies. Is that efficient? It's not. No, it's efficient. It's not effective. Effective is I'm gonna make this pie. I'm gonna walk outside my house. I'm gonna put these pies on the table, and I'm going to put a big ass sign that says the best sweet potato pies on the block. And I'm going to sell me some pies. And then from my profit, I'm going to do a little bit of the efficient stuff to make it better. Maybe I can get more customers. Maybe I'm going to open an Instagram account. Like, the efficiencies come from the effective stuff. I don't need that fancy shit yet. That's that's over efficient thinking versus cutting straight to it. Huh? Yeah, like a lean startup, but all startups should be lean startups. Mm-hmm. Every startup should be a lean startup because you don't know if your product is viable yet. Do they want it? Are they asking for it? If you sell a pie and they come back 15 minutes later to buy another one, I got something. So while you have this spectacular looking website, this beautiful logo, you use ChatGPT and everything to make all the wording on your logo perfect. I done sold 70 pies already. I sold 70 pies. And I wrote the sign with a marker on my daughter's paper that she ain't using. And then over time, guess what? Efficient person number one gets discouraged because they got no more money to make the pie. And they were sitting there looking at the website for somebody to hop on it and nobody gets on. Versus I'm on my fourth rendition of my pie. I'm already rocking. And now I can pay somebody to work on the website without me doing nothing out of my profit. That's how you see paths go like this. Equally intelligent people. Both people's pies are just as good, but one person has an efficiency thinking, one person have effectiveness thinking. You know how much money those people make? Some of those people make who sit out on the corner, raggedy clothes, looking like they smell like shit, with a sign that says, "Just give me anything." And you give them, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. They make tens of thousands of dollars a year, sometimes 30, 40. They straight to the money. And it's something to be said about being straight to the money. Some of that is, what I call that is passive aggressive entrepreneuring. Passive aggressive entrepreneuring. I used to be that way too. I got a lot of nerd in me, which translate to a lot of antisocial behavior. So I love to hide behind my computer and just make shit pop off without having to talk to humans, the early version of entrepreneur me. That's how my genetics. So I had to literally rewire my genetics to go straight to the bag. Where they hooping at? That gym? Hey, how much is it gonna cost me to put a table at that gym? Bet, there, doing it. So if nobody buys from my table, I know there's a problem. It's not lack of this, that is a problem. I gotta step my game up. But another person won't know that because they're so deeply embedded in all the layers of being efficient, they not even getting to that yet. So I done threw away my revision 1, came with a revision 2, did it again. By the time I perfected the model, you haven't even came up with your first revision yet. Whooping your ass. Whooping your ass. Not literally, but I'm getting it, sorry.
So, one, I love this. I'm over here chewing on it because I feel like every year that I've been in Hope, I have been rewiring this. When I first left company life, I realized I didn't really have a system for getting anything done. I didn't have that because there was a rhythm already. Mondays are meetings, this day is this day, this day is this day. And so suddenly when I had all of this open space, I didn't really understand how to be with it. And so I spent a lot of time on YouTube looking at everybody's time management systems, super efficient, and it never worked. So after a couple of years, I was like, fuck this shit don't work, right? But it took me years because I just figured maybe I'm doing it wrong. I'm not applying it right, da, 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 da. But really, it was like the shift of like, that doesn't work in what you're doing anymore. So every year I've been a little better at this, but I realize that it's a place that I have to be really intentional around because it's easy for me to lose it. So and I guess you have to be intentional around everything. I think I haven't always realized how intentional and deliberate I have to be with this. For me, it was like, oh, I'll get to a place where it's just rocking, but things change a little too much. So I'm realizing how intentional I have to be. And so earlier when you were talking about kind of looking at all of the things that you have to do and kind of going through first principles, kind of making decisions, the question that came up for me is, what are some ways to do it when it's not always clear based on what you're looking at, which one of them is the most, like which one you should prioritize? Like when you maybe don't know enough yet to be able to make smart decisions, is it just kind of pick a lane and see what works, and you have to kind of learn, get some more reps? Like, what are some ways to engage that?
Cool. Good question. The start for me was I was trained in corporate world how to do it. They took me to Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They threw me into that. That was my first engagement in understanding how to prioritize tasks and lists.
I didn't go.
I
didn't.
I got paid overtime, free to go, so I went. I got paid every time I went to them classes. But over time, I learned better ways to do it. It starts with intention. Number one is intention. If you don't have intention, it's cloudy. You don't know where you're going, what you're doing, or everything. You don't know which one to pick. So it has to start with intention. Where are my goals? What is my target? What do I want to do? Where am I going? Where do I want to go? So if my intention is to sell sweet potato pies, if that is my intention to sell sweet potato pies, then the line becomes really clear, right? So what are all the things around selling sweet potato pies? There's baking goods, there's buying materials, there's buying ingredients, there's buying equipment, there's marketing, there's branding, there's looks, there's all sorts of things. In whatever stage you are in, what is the most effective thing you can do in the moment? And I won't go into the details of that class, but there's quadrants, right? Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Quadrant 1 is it's highly important and it's highly time sensitive. It's very important and it's very time sensitive.
Yep.
Next one is very important but not time sensitive. The third one is very time sensitive but not important. And the fourth one is not important and not time sensitive. You don't ever want to be in that fourth category. It's a waste of your day, waste of your time, right? Unless you're on vacation and you're kicking it. But you can maneuver those things to say, all right, what's the biggest chunk that I can do to get to this goal today? What's the most important part of this? What makes me most effective in getting from here to here? You make some pies. Maybe it's not sell no pies yet. Maybe let me make 3 pies, cut them up in little squares, and go to a place where people don't know me and just have people test them. Give me your honest. I would even lie and say, hey, I'm thinking about investing in this company. This lady who makes pies. I'm thinking about investing in her company, and she made me some samples to let you guys try. What you think about it? They'll give you the real. When I owned property, triplex, duplexes, and all that, I was in my early 30s. I looked like a teenager, so I would come and be like, "Hey, my dad's here to pick up the rent." Oh yeah, they had way respect for this dad that they never met. But if it was me, it would be a whole different issue. I'll lie like that. So I just want the truth. I need the truth. So that's how there's several ways. There's a thing called getting things done. Like do the research on the internet to find which best ways work for you. Several ways, and that could be done with internet research. But it's all making sure that your effectiveness is your big rocks. Your efficiencies are your small rocks. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you ever seen the experiment where they have a big bowl, a bowl full of big rocks, medium rocks, and sand, and they're like, there's no way you can fit all three in one. You can in priority, but your big rocks come first. Did you guys know that Blockbuster, Netflix was coming? Netflix was coming. It's 2002-ish. Did you know Blockbuster almost took them back out? Did you know that? Y'all hear the story? Mm-mm. So the co-founder of Netflix was like, Blockbuster almost wiped us out after we got in the game. What happened was they didn't take us serious. That whole the way they sent videos and DVDs, and they didn't take that serious until it was serious. And by the time it was serious, we had a stronghold in the game. But then they're like, you know what? Let's start taking this serious. So they came out with their first version of on demand. You can send out your DVDs and get them back, and it was trash. It's like we at Netflix was like laughing and celebrating. But then they came out with a version 2, and we was like, oh shit. Still was kind of trash, but they're like, oh shit. Then they came out with a version 3, and it was better than theirs. Gave them access to all the stores. You can go in the stores and ship. It was way better than Netflix. And they were like, oh damn, we're cooked. We're done for. And he said, what saved the company wasn't anything we did. We were sitting there counting the days. What happened was the Blockbuster CEO didn't get his bonus, and he was mad at the company and quit.
Wow.
So they hired another CEO who was in retail and didn't know anything about digital or mail-in, and was like, what was this shit? And threw it in the trash. And it was like, whew, skin of the teeth. That efficiency can kill your company. Efficiency can kill you. Over efficiency. Now, back to Kaja's point, the goal is to always, at scale, when you're scaling, that is where you're at. You're in the efficiency world. How can I do this better? How can I do this smarter? How can I do this and make this scalable? But if you're not in, like, up until you get it in, figure it out.
Okay, so I had to go back and revisit one of the books we did a few years ago, the E-Myth Revisited, because my company is too big for me to run, like, by myself. So I have to delegate, hire for specific roles so I could take stuff off my plate so I could run it better. So I just had to hire 2 people because I can't do sales and administrative work and run the company, manage the team. So I did my tree and realized that those were 2 spaces that I could specifically and intentionally hire for, that could create a better system. Now, I've hired a bunch of people before, but I have a pattern, which is important as a business owner to realize, of I will hire out of need to take, like, pressure off, let's just say, for simple words. And so I'm like, all right, I'm overstacked. My bandwidth is taxed. I'm making bad decisions. I need to hire out so that I can see clearer. So I'll make the hire, I'll do the training, and then I'll go into the role of abdication instead of delegation. I'm like, all right, you got this, you know this, you're a cultural fit, all the things. And then I had a conversation with Nana a few months ago of I'm still giving myself too much power in my company because I'm still like the head person that everybody has to ask permission to instead of giving people ownership. And so my fear is like, this is definitely a necessary move because I can't be effective in my company from wearing all the hats. And I know that I need to make an adjustment, but I also am aware of my patterns and how I tend to move. And I'm trying to figure out how to outsmart myself because I know that while I am in my analytical brain, which is maybe on 30 or 40% of the time, in my heuristics, I got to get shit done. I got 30 things to do today. I'm not in this headspace. So how do I plan for that? Because I do feel like it's hit nail on the head of effectiveness and efficiency. Like I am the queen of systems. I have notebooks and color tabs and all the shit. I'm so type A. But then oftentimes the management of that, it ends up just falling back on me. So I'm curious if you have any advice.
Can we go back one slide? Number one. We got like, I understand you. I feel you. I'm right with you. And I'm not talking at you in this moment. I'm talking with you because I got a lot to work on in that regard too. It boils down to self-control and self-discipline. Meaning your goal is to empower and not to manage by abdication. Abdication. Yeah. But delegation, right? So that's what the crux of that book was about. And it takes self-discipline because this is your baby. This is your baby. You've put your heart and soul into this. So anytime you feel something that potentially threatens the smooth running of your company, that's when you're triggered and your fight, flight, or freeze response kicks in, and you ain't no flighter, so let's take that one off the table. You know what I'm saying? You ain't no freezer, so I can guess which one you are. So, and that is, I gotta do, oh, you're doing this wrong. And so that habit over time compounds to the point to where you remove power from your team and they get gun shy to make decisions. So now you just made yourself the bottleneck of your own company. So you hire people and basically you're slower than you were when you hired them. So what it takes is self-control and self-discipline. I'm working through this now. Sometimes I'll come in the morning and what I say on the drive, I'm not going to say shit. I'm going to let them solve problems. I'm not going to say shit. I'm going to let them solve the problem. I'm not going to say shit. And sometimes I do well and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, what happened? What triggered me as to why did I do that? And I'm constantly trying to get better because guess what? I don't want to be there like that. I don't want to be there like that. And so which is happening less, but it's still happening more than what I'm comfortable for. If I'm in my office doing work and I'm in a way of somebody doing their job because they need to ask me a question, I'm not doing it right. I'm not being effective. And I'm wasting money. So you have to look at it as I'm wasting money. And there may be we have to also be honest with ourselves and say, there may be a part in me that feels good. It feels important by people coming to me. It's an ego. Maybe it's also a small ego play that I got to back up and release and let people do a better job than me. What if they come up with a better idea than you? Intellectually, that's great.
Oh, no. Let him flow. Then when he's ready, he's yeah. I was raising my hand, but when you get through.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. No.
I want to take a stab at some of this stuff. Can you go to the last slide, the effectiveness, efficiency?
Great.
Look at your watch, so I won't go over 2 minutes. Make sure lock me into 2 minutes. That way I can stay focused. One, efficiency is something you control. Effectiveness is what you don't control. Let me say it's very clear. So efficiency is like a plan. I can work on efficient stuff all the time. It's within my control. Move this over here, and put this back over here, and put this back over here. Put this over here. Okay. Effectiveness is engaging with things you don't control.
Fire.
That is a huge freaking difference. So a lot of times our inability to engage the outside world makes us fall victim to efficiency. So corporate America, most of you guys are forced to focus on efficiency over effectiveness because you don't engage the outside world. Education is heavy in theory, so it's very heavy in efficiency over effectiveness. So that's number one. Number two, we talked about this. Me and Shakina, and she actually, we had a good conversation about this. So I'm gonna speak about this because she wasn't in opposition. We were in a cool dialogue. That blame thing, blame is anti-strategy. Okay, he did this to me, she did that to me, they did this to me, right? Which means I don't see my play. Because I don't see my play, I don't see the complexities of life, how I should be engaging, where my stories in my mind is out of alignment. So when it comes time to sell something, I only can see me. I can't see nobody else. And when I go to sell something to somebody else, I'm just trying to copy and paste, often missing the mark because I don't realize the diversity of who I'm trying to sell to. Third thing, as a human brain, we overvalue self, crazy overvalue self. We think we're always the greatest, always, and that's why when a problem happens in our company, we feel we're the only one who can fix it. That's a psychological flaw of all human beings. And so you have to be able to put yourself, be able to say, you have to be able to put yourself in perspective. It's so hard to see yourself. Like, this is why most of you gain weight and don't see it until you get the picture. Because in your brain, you are constantly changing all the details to overvalue self. So it's a psychological human flaw. And I'll try to write it down so I can get my 2 minutes, get out of the way. Yeah, so that's pretty much similar. So we overvalue ourselves. Efficiency is something you control. Effective you don't control. Part of a lot of times when you see so in those who are doing the transition between corporate America or universities to entrepreneurship, this will be a major obstacle. And if you're a seasoned entrepreneur, the way you can fall back into that trap is you start to lose control of strategy, and that often comes from not studying, that comes from blaming, that comes from also over amplifying stories. If you over amplify a belief, you pretty much turn your brain into a cabbage and lose the ability to think past your beliefs. So your beliefs, you try to project your beliefs on the world as opposed to see the world out.
Fire. You just made me think of another point from that because that's dope. You ever grew up in a household where like shit pop off and there's always a person who starts cleaning?
That's a good one as hell.
Efficiency. Your efficiency loop kicked in. Efficiency. The smoke is right here. I'm gonna be over here cleaning. See what I'm saying? And entrepreneurship is the same because what if my pies are nasty and no one buys them? So sometimes the fear of that makes people loop into something that they can do that's an easy win. That's some efficiency shit. So like that was dope. And I still do it. If I have a fucked up day, I took L's all day. I'm a cook because I know how to cook good. So I know how to do something right tonight. Before this night ends, I'm going to do something right. Efficiency. My body can't process not winning. So sometimes we run from the smoke or the opportunity to win or the situation where we could win or I'm going to try this thing, and we'll divert to efficiency over the potential of being effective. Damn, that was dope. That's like, didn't Dr. Dre used to say that? Damn, that was dope. Next slide. The golden ticket effect. Way out for victims. So we talked about this in prior years, but it's time for us to talk about it again. Corporate world, school, education, growing up. We grew up in a world where we always had to be picked and chosen. Picked and chosen, that's the world we live in. If you went to any elementary school, middle school, high school, college, you had to, if you wanted to go to a college, you couldn't show up and sit in a chair. You had to apply, and they had to pick you. Everything in class, your whole life, you had to raise your hand to get picked. So you were trained to be picked. That's the world you live in. And so it is not your fault. Entrepreneurs decide to go get what they want. But most of us are wired, all of us are wired and programmed to get picked. Raise your hand if you want to.
Pick me.
I hate Josh
Yeah,
so much.
Josh.
I hate Josh.
So if you grew up in a society, which we did, that you had to be picked all the time, you're programmed for this golden ticket mentality, which means you get emotional when you watch the movies of the person who had the miracle happen in the end and they got picked. They got the golden ticket, the Willy Wonka effect, where this one kid opened up the bar and he got the golden ticket. We get goosebumps. We relate to it because the reason why you relate to it and get goosebumps is because you are wired to be that too. Entrepreneurship is a complete opposite spin on that. Damn near don't ever gamble. We don't even believe in that shit. Ain't no golden ticket. I create the golden ticket. I am the golden ticket. And that is a tough switch because in order for you to switch, you have to first admit that ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't nobody coming to get you. Ain't nobody coming to protect you. Ain't nobody coming. So if you want the golden ticket, you have to create it. And the fastest way to be stuck in the golden ticket effect is to play the victim role all the time. It's not my fault. They did this. They did that. It's not my fault. Victim. Victim. We wolves in this motherfucker, period. We don't play that shit. If we need something, we want something, we go get it. We find other people. We find other wolves to partner with us, but we go get it. We go after it. Ain't no golden tickets. Now, I'm not saying if a golden ticket just randomly floats down in your hand, you don't use it, of course. But you ain't moving in that direction. You don't move with that energy. Victims always love to blame, but victims play the lottery. They want to play the lottery with their companies. They want to play the lottery with their relationships. They want to play the lottery with everything. And then play the victim when they don't get their way. This is an entrepreneurship class. We ain't with the civilians like that. So we don't got the luxury to think like that. You got to think, okay, what do I want to do? What's my intention? My intention is to get it. What's the most effective way to get there? What's step one? Who can I talk to? Who can I partner with? That doesn't mean you don't get mentors. It don't mean you don't talk to people. It don't mean you try to get partnership. It don't mean any of that. But you move with the energy that don't nobody owe you shit. Your value is gonna precede you in any engagement. I got value for you. No victims around here. If I don't get it, then that means I'm not good enough, and I'm not good enough yet. I'm not good enough right now. I just got to go back to the lab and get better. And watch, I'll be back. I'm gonna be back. I was that kid. If we got into a fight and you whoop my ass, you gonna have to whoop my ass every time. You gotta whoop my ass again. 4 weeks from now, when I see, we gotta do it again. I don't owe you nothing. You don't owe me nothing, but I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. A L today does not mean it's over. It means you just showed me how much I got to get better. You just showed me where my weaknesses are. I'm going to be back. And from an entrepreneur perspective, moving away from that space, you just kind of get weirded out when you hear people with that victim tone and that victim mentality. And I'm thinking, I can understand that as a civilian. But as an entrepreneur, though, they ain't giving us a what? When our job is to step into a space that's already crowded with competition and show our value. That's our job. That's what we do. Step into a space and exert our value to a marketplace. So it is what it is. That's like, in that tone, like, I've been hearing a little bit of that. So I wanted to just speak on this for a quick second before we move on. We don't look for gold. There ain't no golden tickets. Ain't no, like, don't leave it alone. You are the golden ticket. Your mouthpiece, your work ethic, your skill, your relationships, how you move, what you build, that is the gold. That's the gold. It's hella entrepreneurs in here that I know online in here that, because I've been doing this for about 5 years now. I've watched 5 years ago, some of y'all didn't know what the hell you wanted to do, didn't know what you want to do or why you want to do it. But you would come into class. I'm just going to come and I just like what I hear. I don't know what I want yet. Then year 2, it gets kind of gray. It's kind of like it's like 1980s pixelated. You can't tell what it is, but it's kind of forming into something. And then I see how some of y'all move now. I'm hella proud. Hella proud. Oh, you were raising your hand for real. My bad. Go ahead.
This is a really interesting point you're making, because in recent weeks, I've started to feel like, why are you coming here? Right here, as
Girl, you better not stop coming
to
here.
this class. I'm like, why are you coming here? I had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago to interview the guy who owns Vegan Mob. And I was more interested in his entrepreneur story than really the food. And one of the things he said in the conversation is, he said he had been working at Bevmo, and he got to a point where he did not, he didn't like the job, he didn't like the way it was running, he didn't like the people. And so he said, I'm going to leave and start my own thing. And after the conversation, like days to follow, I thought about that, because I was like, I've had a lot of jobs where I was like, I don't like the way they run this and I don't like the people. But it never was a thought in my mind, I'm going to go start my own shit. It was, I'm going to go find a better job where I like what they do and I like the people, or it's better money, and did. So to me, the fact that his experience would make him think A, and my experience would make me think B, was like, that's the difference between an entrepreneur and not an entrepreneur. So even as I'm doing what I'm doing now, and the podcast profile is starting to get bigger, PR companies are now reaching out to say, hey, my client has a cookbook, my client has a restaurant, can you come interview them? I'm like, you're setting up for a job in food media, which is okay, because that's what I want to be doing, but it's a job. So I'm like, what are you doing going on 4 years sitting in an entrepreneur class if that's what you're doing? It just seems like you either have that or you don't, because that thing he said, I was like, I would have never said that. I would have found some place to step my paper all the way up, but I would have still been out of job.
Well, look to your right. Look to your right. Charlize was in this class 5 years ago. Didn't know she didn't know what the hell. She was in here earlier than that. Didn't have when I stepped in. She had already been here a couple years. Kind of just trying to figure out her moves. That's like, entrepreneurship can be taught if you you build the courage. Without the courage, it's tough. But entrepreneurship can be taught. So in watching your brand just kind of morph into, like, slowly form into this, like, oh, it's a little embryo. Oh, okay. Well, I see you over there, a little embryo. And then I just see it grow into something that is serious. It comes from being in the environment. Being in the environment. You know, the 4-minute mile was impossible. Thousands of years, no one ever broke it. You know, the year was broken, 7 other people broke it right after that. Because once he changed the environment, the people around it felt that they could do it too. So I'm not saying entrepreneurship is for everybody, because it is not. It's tough. This shit's hard. And for some, maybe it ain't for you. But it still can be taught. But you have to be in an environment. That's why Nana talked about changing the name from A Year of Hope to Hope. Because this is a culture that you have to engage in pretty much for the rest of your life. Because if you don't, and you don't have the community, you're on an island, you're going to die. So it takes strategy and execution of your strategy and deciding to go for it and be progressive and learn and get better. But if you have the pick me mentality, the they mentality, or the victim mentality, shit ain't gonna work. I guarantee it. You're gonna lose. You can have the best product on the block and die on the vine somehow, because it's gonna be somebody else's fault that something happened. Next slide. All right, Shabisha.
Knowing versus knowing of it. It seems we've watered down the word knowing. We've heard about it, read it once, or experienced an event pertaining to it, and now we are an expert teaching it to some naive soul. Some of us will even charge money for it. Know damn well we are far from qualified to disseminate this information. You know of it. You don't know it. Since talking and doing occupy the same mental resources, we convince ourselves that we do, in fact, know the subject topic.
Yo, this right here is one of the keys. This is one of the keys. It goes back to efficiency versus effectiveness. An effective thinker, somebody who's thinking about what is the most effective thing that they can do in a situation, they look at things, they look at even knowledge different. They look at knowledge not as powerful, but potential power. Because knowledge does not activate without action. So if I'm going to sit in a class, I may get some good keywords, but I don't know it yet. I don't know it. I heard it. I know of it now. That's like saying, you know Spanish? How many here know Spanish, fluent Spanish? Nobody knows fluent Spanish in here, right? You know of it, right? If you hear it a little bit, you can tell it's Spanish and not Chinese. You know a couple words, you know a little bit of language, but you don't know it. You know of it. But if I said, do you know radical responsibility? Most of us will say, yes, I do. But don't be practicing it. It's the same thing. You got to know it like you would say you know Spanish. And if you don't know it like you say you would know Spanish, then you don't know it. You heard of it, you know of it, you read a book about it, you're learning it. You're a student of it. When I was a kid, I told the story, 8 or 9 years old, before my pops had a barbecue restaurant, 98th and E14. And it used to be all kind of crazy shit going on in that restaurant. I learned life over there. and I used to run the cash register. So, so one time, place got held up. My pops laid the guy down, and nothing. He didn't go to jail. Police didn't come. Police came, but he didn't get in trouble. But they said from now on, you got to hire security, right? So you got to have security here. So we hired the security guard, martial arts guy. This is the 80s, right? Martial arts big. Martial arts is big back then. Dude was looked like Bruce Leroy, cut up, had all these moves. So he would take me to the back of the restaurant in slow times and teach me martial art. And he was like, I was so fascinated with this dude. He was like my idol. And he brought me a staff, and he taught me these staff moves where it starts with like one step and it's like a dance. And next thing you know, like I look like I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. He taught me all these moves. And I just thought this dude was the dopest guy ever. One day, crackhead, dope fiend, crazy crackhead runs up by the restaurant, acting a fool. And so we like, you better not. You don't even know. You better not. And so dude's unruly, acting a fool. We go get security guard. And we like, watch this. This shit about to be crazy. Man, that dope fiend commenced to beat the shit out of my security guard. Whooped his ass. Dope fiend whooped. You know the dope fiends that's hella cut up, head full of hair? Whooped this. And so I'm in shock. It looked like somebody died in my family. I'm flabbergasted. And so my dad was like, use your karate. Use your karate. Like, he let him get his ass whooped. My dad commenced to pull him off him and did what he did with him. Like, I don't even need this dude. You know of karate. You don't know karate. You know of it. You know the moves. You got the moves down pat. Some of us do that with hope. We got the moves down pat. We got the wording down pat. We know all the lingo. We know all the shit. We can engage in conversation. We can weaponize it to other people, make people fear us with our words, all the shit. But if you ever have to engage or apply it to your life or your business, you get your ass whooped. I'm just saying. So learn. The goal is to know it. I'm humble to this shit. I know I was like slow class. So when I get a book, it's not did I read it, it's how many times did I read it? Because I know I'm off top not going to get it the first time. How many times did I read it? I read it. This one, I pick up the library, it'd be like 3 times, 4 times, 3 times, 6 times. And when I write notes, my notes are what I'm going to try. What am I going to apply? What am I going to try? And I get out there and try it. And I fuck with people who know it. And I like, hey, this didn't work. Nah, this shit didn't. Where did I go wrong? What, did you try this? Did you try that? It's not, the engagement with us should be, I tried it and it didn't work. Where did I go wrong? How can I improve? What am I seeing that I can't see? Where are my blind spots? And questions on that?
All right, Joshua. Come on from behind.
Why do you think you need to be called to do it, or think it's instinctual that because you didn't think to do it, or why do you feel that because he had a personality trait that says, well, I'm going to go do it, you need that to do it?
I don't know him personally, but I got the feeling from what he was telling me that Bevmo probably wasn't the most comfortable place to be. So if you're comfortable, that could make you less likely to say, I don't like this, I don't like the way this is running, to the degree that a better option would be to go start my own thing, versus I don't like this to the degree that I know that I can go turn this money into that money, because I can take these skills I got from this job and take it to this company and have them double my pay. Again, I don't know if that was his mentality, but because I had experienced that company to company on a career trajectory over years, it wouldn't have occurred to me to say, start your own thing. Why would I start my own thing and struggle when I could just take this skill set over here and double?
So like my clap back to that, it goes back to the lesson that Court Dog over here taught 2 weeks ago, that there's people who think things intentionally happen to them in the universe. And then there are people who think that there are things that are just happening through them. And then there are people who accept that life is life, and if they want to do something, they just make it happen. So now that you know what you know, would you do it still?
Not after 4 years sitting here, no. I would do it a little differently, yes. But I
In
have
class
more
one.
information.
Then that's why you're here.
Yep.
That's why you're here. And even the questions you asked in those podcasts and what you're interested in, you're just missing the connections.
When I talk to
And it'll come. The connections, the pieces will come.
So when I talk to people in this class, and I'm not going to talk badly about anybody that, in this class, the difference between you and a lot of people is that you ask questions about everything, you challenge it. If I talk to other people, they're like, well, Nana said, well, Court said, you're like, well, it's not about what they said. I disagree with that, and I'm going to try this. That's a fucking entrepreneurship spirit.
That is true.
Everybody is just like,
You finally said something good, Josh.
hey, broke clock wrong, right twice a day. No, but that's what I'm saying is that you don't care who said it. You don't look at anything like it's an obstacle. You just sort of create an excuse that it is. You're really smart and you're really courageous, and people like you. And so I think that that's a power you have, and I think the thing you might need to accept is that there's never going to be a moment until you make it.
That's real. That's good. Good job. Good job, Josh.
Oh, thank you.
He getting comfortable in that chair now. Like, thank you.
Hey. I taught Nana what he know. All right.
Bye, Josh. Next slide.
All right.
Thank you, Minister Josh.
Don't blow his head up. He ain't gonna fit out the door. Look.
He's he's a Hope Academy deacon up in the house. No, you like that, Jasati? Okay, ego.
Okay.
Success requires 100% of our effort. Always stay a student by always actively soliciting hard feedback. Put yourself beneath someone you trust. They don't have to be perfect. Most greats are humble. You can't learn if you think you already know. You can't get better if you think you are the best. Ego drives away teachers. Humility keeps us thriving.
I mean, it's really simple. That's really simple. Anybody want to challenge me on that? I watched an interview with somebody who's saying, fuck being humble. Being humble is trash. Like, you have to be very careful who you listen to. You have to be very careful who you absorb information from. Humility is a key ingredient to growth. Even a plant has to absorb the sun and have to absorb nutrients in order to grow. Remember, we said stress plus nutrients equals growth. In order for us to absorb anything, we have to absorb it from a space of humility. And if you are the person who knows everything, or who got it like that, or balling or doing big things all the time, then you drive away the people who could teach you and help you get to where you want to go. Doesn't mean that you're not confident. You can be humble and confident. There's times to turn that on, turn it on and off, up and down, to 1 to 9 to 7. But whoever says that you should never be humble, don't listen to that bullshit.
Always be humble.
Humility is a key ingredient to growth. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me. I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, I'm sorry. I was wrong. That was my mistake. Let's work on this together. You could be right. Let me try to listen. Like, humility is when you allows collaboration. So in this entrepreneurship journey, it's not going to end. You're never going to get to a spot where I graduate or I pass or it's over. As long as you're entrepreneur, you have to be a student. So I think it was Ken Shamrock said that you got to have one person that's a peer. That person you can bounce ideas off of each other with all times. You have to have one person that's a mentor to you, that's pouring back into you. And you have one person that you teach or that you mentor, so that you can regurgitate the information you know into someone else. And that cycle is what makes you powerful. If you always teaching and telling people and you a guru and you a big, you weak as fuck. And you're limited. Even if you're successful, you got limits, and your limits is coming. Versus, I got my big homies. They always call themselves little brother in me, right? They little brother me. I'm 48, but they older than me. They little brother me. So I made a bet. I said, hey, a year ago, I said the Warriors, they not going. If they get past the first round of the playoffs, they'll be lucky. So they bet me, right? So when the Warriors lost, they like, yeah, we got to buy you lunch. I said, no, I just need you to take the little off the brother forever. And now I'm just your brother. They like, hell no, fuck that. We'll buy you the lunch. Because that's the mentality. And I love that. Because you always have to have an upline. You always have to be able to be cyclical in how you receive, give, and exchange information. But if you ain't humble, you'll die on the vine. You'll die on the island. Next slide. I want to get to one more, and then we'll get out of here.
The distortion of perfection. Perfectionism kills creativity. Holding yourself to impossible standards is restricting and suffocating. It stops you from sharing your work, and it's the sharing that
Sheesh.
often helps you learn and improve.
It's nothing but heat coming. Nothing but heat. How many grew up hearing that the word perfectionism, and it was thought of as a positive thing? More than half the room. I'm a perfectionist. You are? You hired. Mm-hmm. What, you a perfectionist? Oh, my God. Like that term was used in such a positive way that we glorified the word, not realizing that perfectionism is a mental distortion. It means you can go to therapy to fix that. It's a delusion. It's a mental delusion. You're chasing a ghost that doesn't exist. And you lightweight crazy. Perfectionism kills creativity. So if you're an artist or creative, if you're lean too hard on the perfectionism side, there's art that you have that you won't even put out. Because you have an eye to see the end state. What you put out now ain't cool enough. You ain't gonna put it out, which kills the progression of getting to the place that you actually want to be. Like I said, the perfectionist will wait till the pie recipe is perfect. Mm-hmm. When I'm on my fifth run, my fifth version of this. And now with all the feedback loops that I got, your pie, you may have been better than me at first, but now I'm smoking you because I got all the feedback from everyone, 5 different revisions worth. That's the beauty of not being caught in the perfection loop. Be getting a slow class like me. That is, oh, my son's here. I gotta tell the truth.
His twin.
F, A in art. I know I lied. I said I got A's and B's. Like, so there's no expectations of me. I'm the at-risk kid, bad kid. So I have the whole world to play with because I can be at any stage and nobody cares anyway. That's the beauty of this. The A students, y'all have a tough time with this because y'all programmed with the Willy Wonka effect because you were the one that got picked because you got the A's. And now it's tough not being a perfectionist no more because you're going to lose the status, but you're also going to lose the success as an entrepreneur. So we got a whole bunch more to go, but we'll start at the next slide next week. But we had to get through this first. So we'll start next class with nothing but 15 commitments. All right, any last questions? Yes.
Yes.
Yep, she read it. All right, peace.
Can I ask you a question? No. Can I ask this question during your part? I had it for last time.
Okay, I can.
Okay.
Meet that close again.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Real quick, like I said every time. Thanks. First of all, nice seeing y'all here. On the way here, I was coming to class, and there was this brother. I was on the street. This brother had straight Oakland swag. First of all, he was walking that, you know, that kind of walk that brothers have in Oakland that makes you proud to be from Oakland? And he had that kind of swag like from East Oakland, right? And he stopped me and said, yo, man, what's happening, man? He goes, I think his name was Patrick from Mandela. He's like, yo, man, watch you online. I'm going to be in class. I'm trying to get to class tonight. And I was like, yo, that shit made me feel real good. And to see like a brother that just like, because you know, like when you, like, there's certain ways black people can walk and make you go, man, I'm glad to be black. And that cat had the full East Oakland, full swag. Like he was almost, it felt like he was doing a video the way he walked. like the camera's on him, he's about to just start dropping lyrics any moment now. And then he just stopped me at the blue and I'm thinking, okay. And he's like, yo, man, I'm gonna try to come to class tonight. I'm like, this is hella tight to see cats that I grew up with or neighborhoods I grew up in. And I remember, there's nothing that happened. This happened a few months back. So the neighbor we used to have, by the way, white folks bought up almost all the houses on my block, but it used to be an all black block maybe 15 years back, right? So, you know, when we came in, you know, houses were being lost to black folks, but next door was the hood. Just one house, just hood cats. They were good hood cats. So let me give you a little clear. Hood ain't like shoot you up. Like, hood sometimes is just, I don't believe in rules. So I think my wife, when she went to look at the house, some dude was sitting on a car, and she asked him, "Could you move?" And dude was like, "Nah." And that triggered me a little bit. So I'm gonna stop there because I don't want to encourage nothing. So we got on the block. I realized I had established my manhood with the cats. So kind of went through it, but didn't realize those like, if you know about East Oakland, a lot of cats wear the armor, but they just regular dudes, right? So when if you're from East Oakland, you know the difference between this is a unintelligent thug, this is a boss, and this is just somebody wearing the costume. They may even sell the dope, but they're not really. They have Southern values. They're like Southern value dope dealers. This is like the hidden secret of how the real world works behind the curtains. So one day I come out the house. Now they all moved out. White folks bought the house. The cousins live across the street. Hella cool with the cousins. All this love on the block. But sometimes the nephews would come back and just park their car, and they got red cups and smoking and everything, right? So I come outside the house. I'm like, they cool. They ain't bothering nobody. They look out for my little shorty, so we good. So I'm coming out, and they don't come around. They come around every purple moon. So I come out the house, and the dude is like the head of the group. He's like, yo, Nana, I love your class and shit. This shit is like cool as a motherfucker, man. And that shit was like, I was like, damn, that shit's hella tight because, Shabisha's my sister, so, we talk like squares. So sometimes, I'm talking to Shabisha, and I forget the diversity of black folks that's engaged in Hope Online, the kind of people I run across. I remember I went to a store one day, his brother ran up on me and was like, yo, you from Hope, huh? Oh, let me hook you up real quick. I was like, it's just that cool, sort of the age group, the broadness, the ages of brothers and sisters who are listening to us, the different like backgrounds from Southern to, LA type black folks to Chicago black folks, you'll know that's some real black folks, to East Oakland, to New York, swag. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys, and just make sure we donate. And if you haven't subscribed online on YouTube, make sure you go to YouTube. So for those of you watching us on Facebook, go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on donations today because I started to feel like a pastor, and I'm not doing this one. So let's just keep this one moving forward. Y'all know what it is. I want to quote this before I get started. There was a line I wanted to quote to you guys. Oh, there's two stories. I want to tell a story that tied to something Court said. I just didn't want to interrupt because Court was flowing. And personally, I enjoy, especially his stories, man. Your stories be cold. But a lot of times, too, I always like to see how he unfolds complex ideas. And so, but it's this story about, this is a true story, a scientific study. They realized that bees had this pattern where they would fly out and go left and right or slightly up and down, but mainly left and right. And they would find pollen, right? They were foragers. They would find pollen or whatever it is. And they would come back to the hive and they would do a dance, which would tell the bees, over here is our next source of food. So a scientist said, well, let's try something different. Let's take that food and place it just straight up. Just straight up. And the bees don't have a dance for that, right? So at some point, they somehow directed the bee to where the food was, so the bee can kind of understand, oh, the food's way up here. But they knew the bee cannot communicate that to the group. So they said, okay, when it goes back to the group, maybe they just crawl into a corner, just sit there and act like, shit, I don't know what to tell y'all. I figured the shit out, but I don't know how to tell you, I don't know how to speak that language. But instead, the bee went back and just started dancing, and as if what it was saying was accurate. I think I wanted to tell that story because many of us are doing the dance of intelligence, but don't know how to get to the journey or don't really understand the journey, but want to talk about the journey all the time. And often, because if you're not testing and developing some type of practitioner relationship to this type of data, if you're not building models, so not instead of just learning one thing at a time and championing these great ideas, but as you learn something new, plug into a model to the point that it changes the way your brain works. It changes your description, or changes your stories that you have in your mind. It changes your governing beliefs, right? But if you're at a point where you're learning things in isolation, then quite often you're just really looking for status, press secretary opportunities to share your story with other people, but you're never going to guide them to the honey. You barely can figure out where to get there, how to get there. And so it's just so critical as individuals. And then to Kaja, I want to quote this thing I got here. One second, let me pull it up real quick. I was over here looking at so much stuff going back and forth, and my sister texted me.
Damn it, I'm in class.
My sister don't never text me, so she texts me. I'd be like, what? I love my sister to death. This entrepreneur said, entrepreneurship is a personal journey described as a business pursuit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just let that sit with you for a second. Entrepreneurship. This is. If you understand how we teach this class, let me say this one more time. Entrepreneurship is a personal journey disguised as a business pursuit. So a lot of people think business is a magnified version of economics and accounting. It's fucking not. It's a multidiscipline behavior. You can't, matter of fact, it is dangerous for you to master a particular skill in entrepreneurship, because then you fall victim to that theory, which is, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So then you take your intelligence and try to make it fit where it doesn't fit, often underserving the solution, right? So it is almost absolutely critical to engage, to actually evolve and develop self-mastery and a broader understanding of life. Like, I heard another man say today, I think it was Noah, what's the dude who wrote Sapiens?
Harari.
No, yeah, Harari. And he was saying justice and fairness is a story that human beings make up that we try to force into the world. It's not real. We try to force it into the world. And the Puritans who try to push it the hardest often cause great wars and create destruction because the world doesn't work that way. So often as an entrepreneur, we have to get past the stories we tell ourselves and align with the world that we actually exist in. And that shit often will make you feel like you're disconnecting from your hurt. Matter of fact, earlier this week, I got challenged. Somebody on my staff said, Nana, some people in this office have a problem sometime approaching you because they said you have such a strong personality, very headstrong. And my response was, don't bring that trash to me. You said, damn, Nana, why you say that? First of all, the person who's blaming never asked himself what role they're playing and what power they have. So they're not growing their strategy. What they're trying to do is protect the way they are as opposed to evolve based upon the challenges. Challenges and friction and stress are opportunities for growth unless you turn into a blame scenario. Once you turn into a blame scenario, the only thing that stays the same is you. The world keeps changing, all the challenges keep happening, but you don't evolve with it, right? Blame destroys optionality. Right? In life, you should be able to say, if this happened, I'll go here. If this happens, that's what strategy is, right? If this happened, I'll go here. This happened, I'll go here. This happened, I'll go here. Well, what blame does, it gets you caught up in a binary loop. They shouldn't have did this to me, so I'm going to do this. You just stay right here. In the end, what you're trying to do is defend your story, which is defend your space, then have the audacity to go to a level and go, I don't understand why I'm not growing. Oh my God. Why is it I am not growing? It's your tone of blame. So last week I talked about locus of control. Watch how black people say, I hear it all week long. This certain thing happened to me, and this because they did this is why I can't do what? Stop. But then I need to learn more strategy. Well, stop talking like that, and you can find it for yourself. That's the first one, right? I even had a situation where a person told me, they got into a car accident. I'm going to change the story to protect the innocent, like the old school Perry Mason. They got into a car accident and then proceeded to tell me they were uncomfortable getting into a car. I said, well, tell me about what happened to you in the car accident. Well, the person hit me. They were driving crazy. I was injured. They caused so much damage to my life. You see what's happening there? They gave all their locus of control. They said to themselves, they hit me, but what I could have did as a defensive driver are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and gave themselves that sense of control. But instead, as using that car accident as an opportunity to grow your defensive driving skills, your offensive driving skills, your level of awareness, your philosophy of driving, you locked yourself into the old philosophy that got you in the car accident and said, they hurt me. Meaning, after the car accident, you're the same person that you were before the car accident, waiting to repeat the same event over and over and over until the day you stop blaming people and realize, oh, shit. I'm in this rhythm. I'm in this cycle. So a lot of people in this class, oh, no, I don't understand how to develop strategy. When you start taking on radical responsibility to everything that happens to you, that is a strategy exercise that builds the muscles of strategy. When things happen, you go, what could I have done different? And then you start to see those invisible things. And my last point before I get to these slides, because I'm really excited about these slides, because I'm ready to get back into some ego shit. It is impossible to be a multi-millionaire without embracing the invisibles. The tangibles get you only so far. The tangibles is the glass ceiling. How many apples did I sell? How hard did we work? How many did we pick? How many do we manufacture? You already created a glass ceiling. Remember, as black folks, we come from a working class people. So we value the tangibles, the straight lines, the linear. Remember, in life, there's no such thing. There's very few linear lines, right? But in our brain, we value these linear lines. You know, I did this happened. I did this happened. I controlled this, I managed this, I wrote this document up, right? But you'll find that in business, you got this thing called human psychology, human interests, human patterns, human stories, human desires. What the fuck does the tangible do with that? That means a lot of the invisible things you have to control is a visible thing you can't see, which is their mindset. If you can't get the mindset of your customers to go tell their friends to buy more of your apples, you can't get the culture to believe that I cannot put another apple in this space because he has this thing called a trademark, a patent, or legal access, or he has advantages of scale. He has this position that only exists in our mind that allows you to have dominance in the market to sell more apples to become a crazy multimillionaire to billionaire to trillionaire. But often we come to business class looking for X's and O's and tangible things, thinking this is business, and not realizing that if you took down, if you mastered, if there was such a thing, mastered every strategy that ever was underneath the sun and didn't see the invisible strategies, you created a glass ceiling for your own personal growth. So why we sit in this class and we talk about a lot of invisible elements of business, because those are the things you have to gain control of to have actual real growth. You don't gain growth. A law that stops you from stealing Apple technology, where's that Apple? What's that law is? It's a belief system. Well, how do you get that belief system to work? It's even crazy to me that we don't value marketing. If you have a company, you should be spending the maximum amount of dollars on marketing I'm talking about the maximum dollars should always be spent on marketing. So why, Nana? Why should I buy a logo? Why should I get an office? Why should I design the chairs? Why should I get pictures? Because you're trying to control the market's mind. There is no market without a mind. AI ain't buying your shit. Ants ain't lining up going, we got cash now. What's up? What's the deal? Me and the rest of our crew, you know how we roll. Straight line. Let's go. If he buy one, you know what the next one gonna do, right? We ants. That's not how it's gonna happen. It doesn't translate like that, right? So ultimately, you got this thing called Mickey Ficky human behavior. Meaning that ain't nobody. If you get 1,000 people in a room and say, "Are we all thinking like this?" If you just play that game, you're gonna die in that room. It's never gonna happen, right? So how do you get everybody in that room with different beliefs? I'm a transgender, I'm a straight, I'm black, I'm gangster, I'm soft, I'm everything in the world. How do you get the variations? I'm from Africa, I'm from Russia, I'm from China, I'm from America, I'm from Venezuela. I'm tall, I'm short, I'm broke, I'm rich. How do I get you all to buy my fucking apples? And you don't invest in marketing? What you think you so important that because you washed the apple and put some oil on that shit, you got the hottest idea in the world, did you forget about competition? If Tennille sees me holding the apple in my hand and I just made millions, Tennille gonna be like, well, I'm about to hold the apple the same way. Let's go, right? But how do I make people say, well, when Nana holds it, it's something different? That's a story you have to tell yourself. So in this business stuff, the reason you have to be in this kind of environment, because the number one thing that's in front of most of your sales is your perception of yourself and your beliefs. You so caught up in you're not willing to play the game of them. This is a them game. How do you make them align? I don't give a shit if you believe in social justice, Democrat or Republican, white or black. California is like single digits black, 30% Latino. I only sell to black people. Well, I see you later. Because I don't do that broke shit. I'm selling my shit. If this white kid named Billy with freckles all over his face right here, and he says howdy, and he loves my shit, I'm selling my shit. You got the game fucked up. But some of y'all got the distortion of like business is like a herd building process where when I start my business, I'm just trying to get there. When people speak of the herd, after they've grown their business, that's hindsight communications. Foresight is I'm psychologically using every fucking second I can to get into your mind. I want you to walk in a store, and every time you think about whatever that is, thirst, hunger, clothing, my name pops into your head first. And I'm jockeying for that position until I decide I don't want to fight for that position anymore. And when you get into that type of mental warfare, you're going to realize being really good, working really hard, being proud of your quality of your skills, it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate. It doesn't translate. I promise you. Because a lot of people say, oh, how do you work on your business? Remember last week we talked about inverting? Write that list down, people. If I was successful, if I was to fail, what would have to happen? And then turn around and say, if I was successful, what would have to happen? And then reverse it and go, where am I today? What do I need to be working on? What do I need to change? One of the things I saw recently did it. I do it every week. I don't do it. It's not you do it once and you be like, yeah, look at me, pow. I do it every week. So last week, I called Michelle, hey, Monday mornings are going to change. We're not going to have the same kind of meetings. We're going to have strategy-based meetings. I need a checklist for everything we do. I want to see whatever behavior science tools we're using, I want to see the list. And I want to be able to look at that list, and then I want to design every conversation for a new intake, a checklist that we cover all these issues, because as we change what that is, we're starting to diversify our problems. That's expensive, right? The second thing I said is, I'm noticing that sometimes when we have a problem client, we'll say something like, oh my God, this client is a problem because A, B, C, tweet beyond. I said, can we start saying we in the people problem business? So our problem is an opportunity to design something new for us, as opposed to, is our frustration is because there's no solution? Is it frustration because we don't understand the solution? So once we define ourselves as a problem-solving group, then every time we see a challenge, it's reframing our brain to look for. It's become like a game. We're gamifying this experience. But if we define it as a burden, what are we implying? We're implying that every person that walks out the door needs to align with me. Is that crazy? Is that some insane shit? You want everybody to walk through the door to be like you? By the way, this is why a lot of times we're horrible at hiring people. We're so bad as human beings. We often like people to remind us of ourselves. Aren't we on some egotistical shit? Man, I really like you because you look like me. That's just crazy, huh? That's some crazy shit. So often when we're hiring and we're doing interviews, be careful not to be influenced by somebody that reminds you of yourself. Because there ain't too many versions of you out there. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's get this shit rolling. All right, Shabisha, you ready?
No. You just going to say that? Isn't no bio break?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Shit. Wait, you want to change? I need that one. So just don't remove it. Let it go. Let's just write it out. Let's write it out.
Anger at a rival prevents you from doing what's in your own best interest. Fear of losing an opportunity pushes you to cut thinking short and act impulsively. Outrage at a criticism causes you to lash out in defense, alienating potential allies. The list goes on.
Let me say this real quick. First and foremost, we're going to have to break some of our cultural rhythms. Our music is angry. Hip hop is purely, first of all, and I can say this boldly, I'm going to say it like I said last week.
R&B angry too.
Hip hop fills a void that we haven't built a worldly wisdom source for young people. So since we didn't build it, they built it for themselves. But when the kids teach the kids, we in trouble, right? And the kids won't, because most kids don't know the long game. They only know the short game. They only know the impulse game. They don't know how they feel. They only know the herd's opinion. They don't really own down the road. That's why so many music artists who are young go through the same poverty experience as the next generation. It really does require our older generation to come along. I was watching J.J. Redick talk about his finances, and a elder in the community, white elder in the community, was coaching that was a financial person, and he was able to put away so much of his money, invest, and live a certain kind of way to the point that when he retired from NBA, his life is set up, right? But a lot of young people are talking to young people, right? I was watching Gilbert Arenas. Shannon Sharp showed him LTD album, Gap album, and Could Function album. He's like, who are those people?
Jesus.
Right? That means 41 years of age. That means who are you talking to, right? So anger, we went through slavery, people. We went through Jim Crow. Jim Crow is slavery. Slavery was just rebranded first. I mean, Jim Crow was but a rebranded version of slavery that functioned for the society based upon where it was moving. So after being suppressed for 400 years, 40 years of suppression, we were really, really angry and pissed off. So a lot of times we took it off on ourselves and our own families. So we learned to move with that anger tone. Anger should be used as a tool, not a reaction. There's a time to be angry. I'm not demonizing it. But anger is like blowing everything the fuck up. The good and the bad goes away. And many of us ain't got enough good to be blowing up the good. Right? Anger also stops you from thinking. You cannot, I know me personally, I am the worst in thinking during anger. In anger, I swear that you are trying to kill me, that you have joined a racist cult, and that your only goal is to destroy all black people, and I must bring you down. And then I realized you just took the last sip of orange juice. When I'm angry, my brain can go to the extreme. I promise you, if you think about it, pay attention to your anger and what you say to yourself. It's rarely accurate. Nor is it really investigating the other person. Often you've already painted the other person as bad and you are good. Right? The problem with that is anti-strategical thinking. And being in an angry space is not allowing you to see patterns, because as you see patterns, it positions you in a better way to navigate in business. So another thing too is if you pay attention to this type of stuff, the anger, everything they just mentioned here, let's say you're a good person. Real quick, let's say you're an earthly, good, nice person. Right?
Why you gotta throw the earthly?
Well, you know, I'm saying them motherfuckers there. But anyway, so let's say you're a really good person, nice. You use all those nice words. You say all the nice earthly social justice shit. You almost say DEI every other this word. You know, instead of saying feel me, be like DEI. And because I just can't. This happened recently because I was working with a group that's DEI. Oh my God, I ain't never had such a straight poker face on before. They were saying some earthly shit, and I just at the end I just explained to them the flaw of their thoughts, and they just was like, I don't get it. That's great. Let's just make sure my check is signed. So this one guy was an asshole, absolute asshole. He was just a masterful asshole. And there was a woman, a Jewish woman, who was the sweetest Jewish woman. Like we talk about, the Jewish culture, the history of Jews and everything all the time. And I stepped her, and she started saying, she came out on a balcony, because I got a balcony in my office. You understand me? It's my new office. I'm a stunt for one time. Okay, I'm got my balcony up in this motherfucker. You understand me? And she come on a balcony. And she says, "Oh my God, this guy's getting on my nerves. He's just this. He's that. He's this. He's that. He's this." And I said, there's a commonality between black folks and Jewish people. She said, "What's that?" I said, "We both come from a lot of trauma. And trauma occupies our minds so much that our point of reference is usually defense." I said, as you respond to him, you're just as much of a problem as he is. At some point, you will get caught in a defensive loop, because as I'm defending myself against you, my behavior now puts me in the same space you're in. I said, in order for you to evolve past that, your strategy has to be offensive and in spite of his behavior. But instead, as you respond to him, or as you compensate, or as you apologize for him to the rest of the team, you're part of the problem. So this anger thing is not some, if you say, "Oh, I'm not the angry type," but if you're always managing anger people, you're just as much of the problem as the people who have an anger problem.
You said something early. You said anger is not this, it's a tool.
So,
Anger is what? Not a
okay. You know what I found out too? People who always want to be hella happy often have anger problems. You know, happy-go-lucky Disney behavior. The people just walk around with like Mickey Mouse on their shirts, happy, just want to be happy for no goddamn reason. They get angry. When they get angry, they snap. God damn, Pinocchio. Shit, right? It just becomes too much. Remember I said get serious a few weeks back?
yeah.
Being satisfied with life, enjoying life, and pleasure with life, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I want to be happy like I'm about to be in a Cyndi Lauper video from the 80s or some shit, right? Girls just want to have fun or whatever that shit the song was. The reality is that if you even kill, all your emotions become tools. So you'll know how to use them in ways sometimes it be part of your strategy. Right. So, for example, there's a time when you have to use anger to shake up. There's some research done around stress, and the best way to reduce extreme forms of depression, levels of stress, is stress. Right. So that's where my anger has its place. There's a time when you need to meet anger with anger to reduce. It's a strategy. It's a time and place for it. If somebody's coming for my daughter, you're gonna see anger. That's strategically designed for that. Right. Deterrence. But anger is not when my daughter breaks something in the house. It's not for that. Anger is not when a family member irritates me. I can be like, ugh, I don't like it, but I need to go ahead and process that and go through my process of going through that. But what I can't do is go around the house and become a person that's doing a ritual of anger to the house, causing damage and destruction to the people around me. Because then what happens in business, you'll do the same thing and you will compromise. Okay, a lot of times anger also sits in a space of right versus wrong.
Yeah.
And when you're wrong, it's an opportunity to learn something new. But anger will often cloud that experience.
What I was going to say to you is I'm not so sure yet that I have ownership of my anger enough yet that I can use it as a tool.
Yeah, but Josh, hang out with Josh for a week. You're full on that shit. You know what it is? It's
No, it will not. It would be bad.
But you have to frame it as something you have to work on. It's not something. This is not a good and bad judgment of self.
Right.
It's almost like I'm giving you a GPS mapping of this is where you want to start moving in that direction. And in that process, so what if this is where you're starting? I don't care where you start. I don't care whether you're 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away. You have to know that unmanaged anger, and it has to be managed, right? There's a time and place where you can be like, oh shit, I can just act a fool because this is legitimate, right? But 9 times out of 10 when we use anger, so for example, my wife comes from a very angry family. Just angry. There's nothing in the house that doesn't get the heat. And so her maiden name was Al Musawir. And so every time once in a while my wife would say something to me, I said, oh, you gonna do Al Musawir on me? Right? And her default impulsive behavior sometimes is their anger response when it's actually an opportunity to make a decision. So a lot of times what I would tell her is like, no, stop. Did you cause this? Did the daughter cause this? Here's an opportunity for you to grow. Or do you just use anger to maintain your depression? Not saying she's depressed, but I'm saying like you're stuck in this space and you won't even, anger often is a tool that keeps you from moving out of that space. When you start saying, I'm raising a daughter, I raised my daughter to be an alpha female. So she'll tell you no in a motherfucking minute. She'll tell you where she want to do. She'll tell you where everybody need to go, right? She's 5. Do you understand? It sounds cute in theory until you have to see her every day. She walks in the house today. I'm playing. What's that dude name? I'm playing some R&B song, right? She walked in the house and said, "Okay, pause your music because I need to play my piano." You're not even past my thigh. What are you talking about, right? She's like, "Dad, you gonna pause it?" Now, I can challenge her, but she's expecting me to answer with the why. That's another thing, too. When I raise an alpha child, it's no longer do what I say as opposed to do this and this is why. Do that and this is why. Y has to follow everything I'm supposed to do. I ain't got time to explain. No, if you're raising an alpha child, why I need to tell you why? Because I need to transfer ownership and power to her. See the difference? But if I just say, do what the fuck I say, I'm suppressing her. So we're fighting those. I was raised in that environment too. My mother called me Little N. When she got mad, and everybody in the block knew I was in trouble because she's so goddamn loud. Right? I could never go. I always have to go outside and have to walk of shame because my mama, right? And I tell like, no, she wasn't hitting me. That ain't what you heard, right? So now, as a grown man, I got to learn how to walk a different walk. And so as I'm moving through this thing, I'm learning like to bring that shit down, bring that shit down, bring that shit down, bring that shit down. And every day I'm working on, I don't demonize anger. I made it one of my tools. Because you try to get rid of anger, now you're on some extreme shit and you don't fit in the world no more.
Right.
Use your own microphone.
Yeah.
Shit, I got about shit.
Okay.
Where the
I got
rhinestones? Anyway, go ahead.
two things I want to tap on. The first one's a question about what you just talked about. So, at what point is it non-effective when you're raising, like Gabby and Zizi are very similar, so I'm definitely trying to raise her in an empowering way, have her think, take ownership and stuff. So she's always asked why, and I've, in the past, always answered. And we're getting to the teenage stage where it's more so not why because she wants understanding, but why because she wants me to change my position. And so it'll be something I've like thoroughly expressed and had like a whole hour seminar conversation on, so she understands the why. But then it'll be like, but why? Do you just keep doing it until they get it?
No, I think, okay, so this we're not talking about anger, we're talking about management now. So I want to make sure it's separated because anger is a different conversation. In the context of management, Diallo does the same thing. They weaponize the why, right? That's a teenager move. And teenagers are different. They have a different mindset. So a lot of stuff, you got to kind of come out of rational space and just learn how they think. It really doesn't make any more sense. But what I do is after I clearly explain the why, and I started explaining it so many times. At first I was explaining it like 3 or 4 times, and I realized I'm talking to my fucking self. So, I'm always saying these beautiful words. I'm like, Shashi, write this shit down. He's looking, thinking like, la, 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 la. I heard it first time, right? So what I just realized, I say it firm, and I look in his eyes, make sure he heard me. And if he says, but why again, you heard my why, I'm done. I'm not going to even entertain this. I'm not even going to be emotional. Here's opportunity for where anger fails you. Anger in negotiation suggests they still have an opportunity. But when I say, no, I'm done. I'm not going to be mad at you. It just is what it is. That's the rule. It is what it is. I'm done. And I'm out. And so in the end, now both the kids know I have lines. The line is, I'll work with you and I talk with you. Everything's negotiable. But if there's a stern, like this is what it is, I will explain to them why when I become very firm about something. But once I'm firm and I made that explanation, I'm not going to play those loop games. A lot of times, too, if you are tit for tat type of dialoguer, kids going to use that against you. They're going to use that against you. They're going to poke you back, poke you. Now you're in this situation and you sound like them and you forgot. You're like, how the fuck old am I? This is ridiculous. I'm over here, right? And so as a point, being the adult and being the leader, I'm always trying to protect my children's inner value and inner strength. But I can tell the difference between all human beings love to gamify. And if I sense my child's trying to gamify me, I stop the game. And I also try to, so let me say this real quick on parenting and go to the next slide. I try to parent when I'm not parent by how I move every day. Because I watched my daughter one day watch you give my wife a massage around her, give her shoulder, give her some break her neck, whatever the fuck y'all do, some kung fu. And don't try it. I'm not doing it. So I was watching her give her a massage. And I watched my daughter mimicking everything you're doing and was out of the adult's visual, outside your viewing. And you realize that children are always watching you. And a lot of times, some of their worst behavior is really your behavior. You just learn to polish it a little bit better. So really part of parenting, there's a couple of things that go into that. One is you really have to go to a self-mastery to really see your kids, because most of the time they're you. It's just a variation of you you can't see. You don't like it because that's part of you. You don't want that part talking back to you. 2, who you put around your teenagers fucking matters. It's everything. Because teenagers value their friends over their parents for a season. And if their teenager friends are trash, so shall your child be in that period of time. If their friends are challenging them and pushing them, so shall they be in that period of time. So there's a certain stage where they're more peer influenced than parent influence. And so designing children environment, like paying for my daughter's school, I don't like it. Can I be honest? I don't like it. She's expensive. But I know it's necessary. I don't like a lot of shit I do, right? But it's necessary to get what I want. I think we love what we want, but we don't love what we have to do to get there. So I tell myself all the time, fuck your likes, bro. Give a shit about what you like. What's the plan? It's like when I go to the gym. Do you know how many times my brain tells me it's a bad idea? I ran the stairs yesterday and I had to do squats today. My brain told me before I started the walk of pain before I went to bed. Like, fuck, I got to do squats tomorrow. And I got this morning and I didn't feel any better about it. And my wife said, "Hey, you want to make you some avocado toast with a poached egg?" And if I would have ate that avocado and toast and egg, you know what I would have did? I would have procrastinated to the point I probably would have got to the gym and said, "I ain't got time for squats. Let me just get around this." So I told my wife, "No, I need to go now." Grabbed me a power bar, went in there, and even when I picked the weight up and put it on my back, I said, "Damn, it feels different today." This is what your brain is telling you. But this is what my brain told me. If you reframe all those things, all your feelings change. All your feelings is tied to the way you frame your experiences. And at that point, I realized just keep reframing to get through this shit. And I got through the workout faster than I've ever got through the workout before. But every point when I was bench pressing, I was like, do you really need to lift 315? I mean, is it really necessary? Who the fuck does that at the 50 anyway? My brain is talking to me. That is clear as all I do is I'm like, but you can do it. Yeah, but don't lift that motherfucker. It's going to have you hurt. I mean, you got arthritis weight on your ass. You know at some point you're going to get old and die. You want to go fracture early? I mean, my brain is running these scripts like a commercial. You ever watch one of those shows and it plays more commercial than the show you watching? My brain is running commercials of get the fuck out the gym nonstop. Then when I finish, that same motherfucker had the audacity to say, "Good job." Good job. I'm glad we came in here. But you shouldn't come here tomorrow, though. This shit gonna be rougher. This is how I get down. So I'm just saying, like, parenting is not what you say, what you execute. It's also how you show up. Business is not what you say. It's how you show up also. Because if you're a fucked up person with a great idea, who follows you? All right, next slide. Should be sure.
Emotions can multiply all of your progress by 0.
Wait a minute, wait.
Wow.
Wait a minute. Okay. Josiah, you're not eating right now, right? Okay, good, eat here. All right, because when Josiah eat, he don't hear shit. Okay. Emotions can multiply all of your progress by 0. Do you know when you're super emotional, you weight it to other people around you? Do you know that we have these fragile lines that connects us as human beings, and your emotions can destroy those lines? Do you know that people can be smiling in your face, promising you all kind of shit, and undermining the way they show up because of your emotional response to them? Do you realize also in your emotional, making decisions is fucking hard, and emotions make your decision making very simple? Like, if you actually master this first line, you're gonna stick out from black folks like a sore thumb. You'll be in a room and people are gonna come up with all kinds of stories about you because you're gonna seem mystical. because it's unusual for us. Especially the poor black folks get, this is unheard of. I don't give a fuck was coined by us. I don't give a fuck. Right? We coined that phrase. We made that phrase real. I wish a motherfucker would. It's a phrase that we have solidified in the history books. Right? So, and yet, as you grow on with more responsibility, you have to gain self-mastery. Here's the other thing you don't realize about emotions. Most of the ways you feel negative about the world, you feel about yourself. You want to be honest about it. Mm-hmm. And most of the damage you do others, you receive the same damage to yourself. You don't get to hit somebody at top speed in football and only hurt them and not hurt yourself. So as you walk around emotional, you are making yourself more fragile, more compromised, and less qualified to achieve these goals you wish to achieve. That's just cold, ain't it? It takes you back to zero. I know cats work hella hard and can't get past their emotions. So when Nana says, fuck your emotions, stop making it seem like I'm just trying to be, I'm trying to work on a new rap album. I'm really trying to tell you, that this progressive game is getting that emotional stuff under, and you realize most of your emotions are tied to some story. Look, some of these stories we told ourselves helped us get out of the hood. But now we're stuck in purgatory. When you always never overspeak towards any belief you have. Speak about your beliefs as if they can be always changed. Once you solidify a belief in your mind, you can't think past a belief you hypnotize yourself with. There's no such thing as, I believe in this. Oh, okay. There's a few things, like I don't believe in killing nobody. Cool, speak on it. But I believe that I'm this kind of person, I'm a Democrat. You're fucking yourself up. I believe that, I come from this idea. You're fucking yourself up. As a hood nigga, you're fucking yourself. As a college educated black man, you're fucking yourself up. Because business is not sitting in a Buddha position waiting for the world to grow around you. Business is a hike and a discovery. And as you validate where you are, you'll never be able to see where you need to go. It's like the hood cat. I was one of those kind of hood cats that did get out of San Francisco too. I was like 7th grade or 6th grade. I mean, outside of Oakland to 6th, 7th grade. But this hood cats really never leave the Bay Area. They don't even know how to navigate outside. And many of us although we left the Bay Area, we never left it mentally. When I started traveling overseas, I learned about the American traveler. American traveler will go somewhere and still be in America. They want everything to feel like America. They want to go to American hotels. They want to eat Americanized food. Man, with these motherfuckers eating the burgers and the fries. What the fuck going on with these old Japanese people? Like, motherfucker, you in Japan. They eating fish. Oh, fuck all that. They don't fry it? Nah, they can fry it. Give me some grease. I'll show them how to do it. No. Shit, your black ass. Anyway, so everybody got that uncle. You don't know how to escape yourself. But when you tell these stories, when I came up, this is who I was. When I came up, I came from this family. When I was exposed to this, I went to this program and they taught me that. I heard this. I believe in that. You got to break that shit. Because where you going, you ain't never been there before. Mm-hmm. And the only thing you're doing is holding on to your comfort zone. As it's almost like you're trying to dump in the ocean, but you won't let go of the fucking rope and then come back and say, I went swimming. No, you didn't. Mm-hmm. No, you had a lifeguard, partner. No, that was swimming. You saw my arms. Motherfucker, you had a... Fuck it, I'm out. Shabisha, go ahead.
It doesn't matter how much you've thought about or worked at something. It can all be undone in an instant. No one is immune.
You're not that special. Ain't nobody that special. Even Jesus will tell you that don't work. Promise you, if Jesus come back like some of y'all are predicting, ask him that question. Hey, would emotions just take you back to zero? Man, I wish y'all knew. Next slide. Go ahead.
Emotions can make even the best of us into idiots.
Wait a minute. It said what?
Emotions can make even the best of us into idiots, driving us away.
Wait, stop. Idiots. Your PhD makes you like you still an idiot because you ain't got your emotions together. You're super skilled, talented, artistic skills, business-minded, can reference every book in the world, and you continue to fuck the game. Okay, so let me give you some little bit more grounding to some of this. Strategies are rarely a straight line. It's usually multiple pieces have to come together, and you build a strategy, right? So at some point, there's a whole bunch of decisions that have to be made to complete a strategy. Do you realize how emotions can take you into a whole different process of building? And as you build away from the solution? Or you put the wrong parts together and it never works right? Because if I'm feeling some kind of way, or if I'm feeling threatened, I'm feeling like if I build this, I won't be valued or I won't be appreciated, I'm compromising everything. Even my thinking doesn't even reach a certain level of depth. It doesn't reach a certain rigorous point because my emotions, I'm snagged on my emotions. Even when I'm reading a book, I can't even read this shit and understand it because I'm in some kind of emotional way. When I'm sitting in front of you, I get an attitude with you because I think what you meant to me is what I think you don't like me, so now I don't really like you. So now I'm fucking up an opportunity right here. I'm sitting in front of a customer gives me feedback. I don't want to hear it because I'm feeling some kind of emotional way. And even when you tell me shit, I really don't want to hear nothing y'all really gotta say, even though I'm telling you I'm really open to everything you say. So I'm open to feedback, just don't give me none. Right? It's like you'll do all this emotional shit. Or when it's a day for you to get feedback, all of a sudden you sick that day because your emotions got you fucked up. You really got sick. You really done fucked up your immune system because you really didn't want to hear that feedback that day. Or you have to fire somebody and you can't fire that trash behavior because you mostly don't feel comfortable. Like this shit starts to it's ever expanding. It's ever expanding. In business, most of shit's invisible, right? And for example, I make an investment in an office. I'm gonna invest approximately between $40,000 to $80,000 in new furniture. I'm black. $40,000 to $80,000 for new furniture. You know how I feel? I'm black. I'm from East Oakland, so y'all should see what the fuck I feel like, right? My emotion says, "Yo, you're making an investment. The investment is that I'm investing this $40,000 to $80,000 to position myself to have a certain relationship to a certain type of client. But if I let my emotions take over, IKEA is going to be my dominant furniture in my office." I'm gonna be 100. I'm being 100, right? But I know none of that's your emotions talking. Do your calculation. Does this make sense? Okay, do you have some fear? Yes, you do. Are you uncomfortable? Yes, you are. Are you doing a little bit of scarcity trying to hit you? Yes, it is. Have you ever spent $80,000 on furniture before? Hell to the fuck to the no. Right? But I'm saying, but if I do the numbers, it's a gamble. I'm gambling for this one. Positioning. Also, psychologically, what else does the office do for you? A lot of times when you're running a business and you're just chasing the money and you lose your sense of value, after a while you can become depressed. You don't even know what the fuck you're doing anymore, why you're here. And you try to buy your happiness and you can't. This is all emotional, right? So then, because you didn't build this sense of, I am somebody, you'll start building your business to please others because you haven't solidified who you are to yourself. When I walk into my office every day, so you know what's gonna tell me? Shit. Do that shit, Nana. You that motherfucker. So Kaja says, hey, you want to come over here? And I'm thinking, say Kaja's a big wig. And she's like, Nana, you want to ride with me over here? It's a bad idea. It's hard for me to say no if I don't have that sense of my own value. So investing in your own value is also critical. You see all this emotional stuff? I can go on for hours just talking about emotional strategy. You'll realize most of this shit is tied to emotions. So without emotions, guess what you are? An idiot. Keep going.
Driving us away from clear thinking. They often have help, though. Mm-hmm. Later, we'll see some of the many inbuilt biological vulnerabilities.
So what they're saying is that just as dogs, cats, ants, birds, Okay, yeah, wait a second. Just as all animals and insects have biological responses, so do we. And a lot of our anger, you cannot naturally master golf. A golf swing is not natural to the human body. In order to be a master golf player, you're going to have to practice how to do something that's not natural to you, right? Same thing for business. A lot of this business stuff is not organic to you. Your brain cares about one thing, well, two things, survival and sex. Josh, do not go there. Survival and sex, right? And so because those are the two main things your brain concerns us with, sometimes you talk about success, your brain's like, why you keep wasting our time with that? I just want sex and survival. Why all this other shit you talking about, right? So a lot of our behavior and our anger and a lot of our emotions, a lot of our triggers are natural biological responses. But you're going to find that a lot of press secretary, defense, your relationship to responsibility, all those things you're going to have to manipulate like you're playing golf to get the results you wish. Go ahead, bro.
So in a lot of the examples that you've given, you used a lot of emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, resentment are the things that, like the first sentence says, makes us idiots. But I'm wondering if this definition applies for, or you think this definition applies for all emotions or just the negative ones?
Yeah, all emotions can be used. So in strategy, anything can be used bad or good, right? So that's why I said it needs to be a tool, not something you just use. So some people always want to be happy, right? Like an addict is seeking that pleasure or joy. The guy who's let's talk some man talk. We're going to have a man talk. There's no women, just me and you right now. The dude who keeps sleeping with new women all the time because he likes that new energy of the new find and the new relationship, he gets addicted to that, right? He wants that. He don't want the commitment, the long term, the responsibilities, the sacrificing for the kids. That's too much. I just want the new one, puppy love, great sex. Let's end this. It's boring, right? So a lot of positive emotions have the same weight, right? I use the negative ones because Black folks are usually more defensive anchored, so when I'm talking to them, I try to stay within the frequency of their listening. However, you're absolutely correct. They're offensive. It could be things of, I just want to be happy. At what expense, right? Do you understand that happy is a responsibility? Some people, like a lot of people, do not go work out at the gym because they're seeking positive, so-called positive emotions, but to the extreme. I'm gonna go home, relax, chill, get away from shit, just release. Problem is that you're missing a strategy inside of that. And what goes along with that is the cost of your blood pressure, diabetes, so forth and so on. So yeah, you're right. There's all emotions, there's a calibration, that ownership of your emotions. Emotions are not bad. By no means, there's not a neuroscience in the world can demonize emotions as being bad. What happens is that the misuse of emotions is highly destructive, right? And I think, I'm glad you kind of brought this up because when I was growing up, I'm older than some of y'all. You understand me? And when I was growing up, the silly myth that women are emotional and men are not, that's a silly ass, trash ass myth. All human beings are emotional. The problem is that we have a history of so much trauma that our emotions are skewed. And we don't have builder's emotion, we have more of a working class emotion. So builders emotion, like when you're around builders, their emotions are so different. So different. A lot of things that we have to think about, they would piss a lot of people off. Like, you could tell me a story that you'd be so emotional. In my head, I'm thinking, there's nothing here. But it means so much to me. I'm thinking, fuck it means something to you. It don't mean nothing to me. This is why you won't invest in my company. There's nothing here, bro. Sorry. Your idea is trash. I see no translation. And feel no way about it. I wasn't attacking you. I just don't have emotional connection. But if I start buying into these emotional connections, like, do you realize how far I'd be off my track? Like if I start responding to everybody's baby showers, parties, birthdays, what the fuck am I studying? I had to tell my family at one point, hey, check this out, let me call y'all together. Let's practice the art of giving me some time to study. 5-year-old, you got it? Whatever. Gangsta ass. But the reality is that studying time, I can't get it because everybody wants to be engaging and fun. And I have to break away from fun because if I just keep doing the fun thing, I'm also doing the not going nowhere thing. Y'all with me so far?
Yeah.
Is that cool? Okay. Let's roll.
Da-da-da.
Start with later we'll see.
What'd you say?
Say with later we'll see. The second.
Oh, later we'll see some of the many inbuilt biological vulnerabilities that leave us even more exposed to the emotion default's influence. Sleep deprivation.
So y'all know that. So that's some of the things. When you're low in sleep, you don't have control of your emotions. I know I don't. If I'm really low in sleep, I don't take phone calls if I don't get no sleep. Because I might actually so I'm really bad at showing my face. If I don't like you, my face, I don't know how to hide it because I think I'm hiding it.
Terrible.
But if somebody showed me a picture, I'd be like, I was really doing that. In my face, I thought I was doing this. But in person, I was like this. And it really, I can't feel it. I really can't feel it. So if I'm sleepy, I have less control. And so I could be walking around giving everybody stank faces. So I won't allow you to say stupid shit to me and let it pass. My face will be showing all my responses to everything I'm thinking. So sleep is necessary. Also, if I'm sleepy, I can get triggered fast. What the fuck you say? No, we're gonna talk about this shit. Okay, now I'm triggered. I'm lost. I'm gone. Keep going.
Hunger, fatigue, emotion, distraction, stress from feeling rushed, and being in an unfamiliar environment. If you find yourself in any of these conditions, be on your guard.
So, okay, let me say this real quick. So, I often teach a class, and then the evangelist after class will repeat what I taught. We'll repeat it with precision. But then when they get impulsive, they become exactly what I taught against. I promise you this is normal across the board. All the males, females, everybody's in my world that's progressive that say, man, that was dope. I'm with that. And then when they get impulsive, they will literally do exactly what they just finished talking about. That's okay. But let me explain to you how you have to master that. You're going to have to start keeping records of your behavior. Find out what really makes you angry. And when that moment happens, even though you can rationalize it in hindsight, say to yourself, I'm in that situation. Downplay everything. Put your guards down, back the fuck up, be on observation mode, tell your emotions, hold the fuck up. As long as nobody gonna touch me, I'm good. Right? Trust me, but if you don't start journaling these moments that you blew up, you tripped, you flashed, you went off, you got angry, go back and analyze those things, pay attention, in hindsight, because you have more power now. Hey, this is what caused me to do it. This is what happened. And as soon as you see yourself, whether you're in an environment, you're hungry, if you're hungry, tell everybody, hey, I don't want to talk right now. Let me ask you a question. My wife's, this is a serious question. Babe, not now. Nope, not now. I'm hungry. Let me get some food in my system. I can talk to you. Because if I don't get the food in my system, I'm going to snap on you for some shit that I'm going to feel bad about later on. I know what I am. Treat yourself as the flawed human being you are. And just build tools to navigate yourself. Go ahead.
So that was the second thing that I wanted to ask you earlier was that, okay, I know I'm an angry person. Everybody that...
See, okay, stop before you say anything. That's the first big problem.
It's claiming it. I get it. Like, it's like owning the past and saying that that's who I am. I know that I have the tendency to have anger issues. And so, knowing that was deeply, deeply rooted in myself from my experiences, I do not like to get angry. I will avoid things that make me angry because I know the levels that I can go to are atomic. So anger for me is like the big red button that's in glass and all the things, and I'm all like, I would rather walk away from you and create space, because if I go there, we may not get back to not being there.
But you have to gamify your anger. You got to pay attention to what's triggering you, and that gives you that gives you a pathway for self-mastery. It's avoidance is just as bad as being angry. It's the other extreme. The middle ground is, this usually makes me angry. Let me observe this. Let me pay, like literally make yourself, develop your own insights on yourself, develop your own ethnography report highlighting your behavior and start to unlock yourself. Otherwise, avoiding it or responding to it is leaving it alone. It's untouched, right? You can get to like a lot of times in class, we're throwing out anger hypothesis. In this room, we have variations, right? And sometimes our hypothesis doesn't cover the variations. Excuse me. So if you listen to class one-to-one, you may miss yourself. So a discovery process is necessary to really unlock your personal mastery. So when I get angry, sometimes if I get angry, I reflect on it for 2 or 3 days until I can really unlock what options did I have? What story did I tell myself? Is it absolutely true? Is it fucking absolutely true? I was watching Medea on what's that show? With a family show? My daughter watches all the time. You remember the name of that show? Family Reunion. Medea, her name is mother. And she said, often white people use the N-word to really hurt us and destroy us. No, that's not actually accurate. White people use the N-word and we hurt ourselves. Mm-hmm. If a homeless person, if you saw this guy living on the corner, he's homeless, and he says, "Hey, ugly black woman," and he's crazy as shit. Like he's calling his boogers butterflies. And you get mad, is it the homeless dude who calls his boogers butterflies, or are you ugly as shit? Like, at what point do we say, that dude's crazy as fuck, right? If you know somebody's weaponizing something to hurt you, when we talk about mastery, we're not talking about right now. The goal is to get to the point and be like, this white dude gonna use that weak ass concept, but you're just gonna use the N-word. You think you got something there, huh? You still weak, dude. I'm still in a position of power. You use the N-word all you want. You still gotta get your ass back to work. Or I'm gonna still fire your punk ass. But when you get to the point where you use the N-word and I come out of my White Castle office and walk down there and beat your white ass, then he won. Mm-hmm. So at some point, self-mastery is these things that traditionally trigger us. When do we master those points that trigger us? And it's not. Once again, it's a challenge. It's not a. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you should be here. But what we often do, this is where we destroy that. Let's use the Lamont approach, just kind of look at it from the other side. By the way, appreciate you for that. What are you doing in those moments of anger? Are you excusing them away? Are you blaming them away? Or are you putting all the responsibility on other people so in the end you don't really have to change? Or do you say, no matter, you're like, he should have never called me a nigger. Oh, that's why white people, they enslaved us. Yeah, now the story's starting to grow really big now. Right? You're trying to add all kind of parts. Now you descendants of Marcus Garvey and all kind of shit and you everything black is you. Now you just, even though on the weekend you hanging out listening to pop music, but right now you super black, right? The reality is that your brain will just go on this role of just building this defensive story. The problem is that you're in a defensive space. The problem is that you're giving this man more value. The problem is you don't feel like you're good enough. You see how we kind of wind that down and get down to a core? So as you work on your value development, now if he says the N-word, you're like, come on, I don't got time for this dude. It doesn't mean he won't jab you. You just know, jab, okay, all right, I know what that means. Like, I don't know if you can ever get rid of all the jabs, right? There's some shit my son would do, and I'd be like, whew, that was it. Teeth all on the floor. I'm not going to respond to that. But in my mouth, I'm thinking, if I was young, I would knock you the fuck out. But I'm not young. I'm the father. So I can't be responding like that. But if I was his peer, I'd knock him the fuck out. But I'm older now. So do I feel it? Yeah, I feel it. I feel that shit. I'm like, oh shit, he just busted me in my mouth. That's fucked up. And then I go, okay, as a father, what's my response? Go ahead, son.
Yo, is there any mental kind of cues or whatever that you use sometimes? Like, I already might use boogers and butterflies right now. If I'm like, you try to trigger me with boogers and butterflies. But is there any like little tricks that you do sometimes to be like,
Yeah,
let me
the work
reflect?
happens when you're not in the crisis, not during the crisis. So my last incident is a work for my next incident. So my last incident, fail or success, I'm having a conversation. I'm doing the work. You know how if you go back to watching Star Trek, right? Them cats ain't just rolling through space like everybody downstairs smoking weed like him. Hope we don't run against no aliens, right? They manning their stations at all time and they're doing research. So when something happens, they're ready to show up to that battle, right? That's almost how we have to move. That's why when you're reading and you're doing all this self-mastery work and you're going back and reflecting, where we often trip the process is by blaming or losing our locus of control. They did this to me. This is happening because this happened over here. The more you start saying, and it can come down to like, okay, what, it's like using first order thinking. What is true to me that this causes this problem? And then we go, these are things are absolutely true to me. And you go, well, are they absolutely true? And some of those things are not true. He hurt my feelings. He doesn't care anymore. So you're implying that when you woke up this morning, all you thought about was you? God damn, you special.
Hey, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Silence, I think one thing that has helped me is I scrub through the failures. It's a post-mortem. So we call this a game of life. Like I really look at this as a game. This is a game, like a video game. So a lot of times I can't see what's coming up in front of me. So what I do is I scrub the hell out of the failures after it happens. So say I flashed, I went off. So I will replay in my head, what would I do if it's this same situation? And I would replay what I do in my head, how I would behave. I would just sit, and some of it I exaggerate, like I'd sit back and laugh and like none of it bothers me. But the fact that I replayed it so many times, so many scenarios in my head, that if something similar comes up, at least those scenarios pop up versus just the trigger of doing it again. So it's post-mortem practice. Post-mortem and practice, and so soon you may not be perfect the next time, but it'll give you a little more room, a little more space, or maybe you do get it, and maybe it's like, oh shit, it's my cue. He did X. It's my cue to do, and you try it, and those things. Now you're interrupting your natural patterns, and it gives you more space.
Can I jump in real quick?
Hey, go ahead.
I just want to add a little yes and to what they were saying. There's a thing called affect labeling. This is a neuroscience terminology, which means basically you are being present in the moment. You say, oh man, okay, I'm starting to get heated right now. So the next step from that is what's called activation energy, which is the minimal energy needed for you to switch paths. We have two neural pathways. We have the rage pathway, which is flying off the handle, and we have the seeking pathway, and they both have to go through the hippocampus, which is kind of like a railroad switch. So if you can manage to do that affect labeling and just take a moment to breathe, it's hard in the moment, you can create that activation energy, kick it over to the seeking, which is curiosity, and not be in the rage space. Your brain can only do one or the other. It's more prone to do the rage because it takes less calories, but if you can get that affect labeling and say, damn, okay, this thing that Nana was talking about is coming up again. Can I take a second? And I can get to my seeking pathway and get curious and say, damn, why am I triggered by this right now, like Court was saying?
And another thing too is you're a herd animal. Never forget the power of the herd. So if I'm really angry at somebody, Mashama gonna get that first call. I know specifically I'm trained, call Mashama first. Mashama gonna hear how I called you 1,000 motherfuckers. Mashama's gonna listen for about 2 minutes and he'll go, all right, so what's the play? Which means, what role did you play? What are the choices you have to make? What decisions you have to make? How much ownership you're gonna take, right? Vice versa, it does the same thing. We have people who don't, remember Court talked about gossiping earlier? I don't need you fanning the flames. What? Oh, hell no. That makes you feel good, but it's trash. What the people around me will say is, okay, cool. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Okay, so let's move forward. What's the solution? Because let's be very clear. We can identify slavery, and slavery gives a lot of things context as we work on solutions. But what happens sometimes is we get over anchored in the past that we don't develop the strategy to move ourselves forward. So a lot of times in my conversation, I can say, this pissed me off. They ain't got nothing to do with where we got to go, right? Then, as I describe where I want to go, Mashama would say, is this a good decision or is this an emotional decision, right? And so then it allows me to have a higher level of consistency in all the areas I have to make decisions, right? Also, if something makes me angry, sometimes you actually have a position or accurate position on your frustration. Maybe you just don't have the words to articulate your position well, right? So when somebody told me, Nana, you have a very dominant personality, and I told them, don't bring that noise to me, the first thing I highlighted was the blame that they're excusing themselves from. The other thing I say to them is, how far you think this company would have got if I didn't have this drive and this intensity? I said, number 3 is that I own the budget. You don't. So when I say no, I'm looking at numbers. You're not. Right? But if I don't own that whole conversation, this motherfucker gonna tell me, shoot, who the fuck you talking to? See, you see how my elementary response is removing all the whys and the context and all that. So the more I own my positions, this is self-mastery work I'm putting. Then when people come at me a certain kind of way, or if I ask for something, or let's say somebody does it in front of me and my brain goes, yo, they betraying you, but my brain goes, how would they know to betray? Come on, bro, they doing what this in their own interest. So let me ask them, hey, why you do that? You see the difference? I work on every day more curiosity than judgment. If you start judging people and think you can see everybody, it's gonna make you very frustrated in life. Because you're gonna think, wow, if I was him, I would have never did it this way. I don't even know I want to go down this road with you because it's a dumbass comment. Next slide. What time is it? Oh shit, we rolling. Next slide. Let's go. Oh, come on. Come on now. There we go. Hey, y'all, the word is ego. Listen to this word. Because I know some of y'all hear this word, y'all be fucking with it. Let's get to the ground. Let's go.
Ego default. Our ego tempts us into thinking we're more than we are.
Ooh.
Left unchecked, it can turn confidence into overconfidence or even arrogance.
Even what?
Arrogance.
You use the word arrogance, right? I don't know if you say Aryan, but you say arrogance, right? Okay. All right, okay, cool. Go ahead.
We get a bit of knowledge on the internet, and suddenly we are full of hubris.
Oh, damn, we kind of talking about the same shit, ain't we? Come on, let's go.
Everything seems easy. As a result, we take risks that we may not understand we're taking.
Man, no, I'm about to quit my job. I'm you know what? I've been doing marketing. I'm about to do this shit for myself. I can see the opportunities for myself out here. Have you been out there before? No, but I can just see it. Go ahead.
We must resist this kind of unearned confidence, though.
Unearned. Okay. Let me say something real quick. Let me get to the other side of that, the blame conversation. Most shit we want, we have to earn it. If you want trust, earn it. You want love, earn it. Want respect, earn it. Want resources, earn it. Want to be the head of something, earn it. You want to be valued for something, earn it. We're in a world right now, we just want the label without the earning process. Without the earning process, because the ego solidifies that process as earning it. So for example, let's say I walk in the room, Lamont says, yo, Nana, you're the Harley man. Shakina says, yep, he's a Harley. And Charlie says, I know Nana, I've been knowing Nana for years. He's always been a Harley man. Now, when you bring your Harley to me, and I'm just staring at it because I don't know what the fuck to do, and don't be surprised, I start, like that bee, start removing parts off your bike thinking, I can get this shit done. And then ask you for money because I heard Shakina charges the same kind of money. Then when I fail, I blame you because at least you should have came at me. You should have knew. You should have. You asked me to do too much. You came at me. I was late. I was hungry. I was thirsty. I was sleepy. I was la. Then you'll say, well, they should know I really didn't go to school for this. I did the best I could. You see all these excuses, the way I'm excusing all this? What my ego's doing is protecting itself. Not saying, bruh, why are you touching people's car? Why are you selling food and you don't study food? Why you open a restaurant and you ain't never worked in a restaurant? Why are you selling clothes and you barely wear clothes? You're a gym trainer and you 400 pounds. What are you training for? How to breathe?
He said 400 pounds, not 400 inches.
I mean, ride with me for a second, right? You know what I mean? Like yeah, I'm a writer now. Only thing you ever did was text. Fuck you writing for? I'm gonna put out a book. What's the last book you read? Donald Goines. Donald Goines was hella tight. Oh, you sit your ass down. Those of y'all don't know about Donald Goines. Those who are older be like, God damn, he did not say Donald Goines. But anybody from the hood know what Donald Goines is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, look it up.
I'm not even gonna
if you
ask.
look it up, I promise you.
I know Donald
If you
Goines.
look it up, you wearing fur to the next class. That's all I gotta say.
I know. Don't talk like that.
Donald Goines will have you fucked up in the head. You don't read that shit. So what I'm saying to you is that, I want to put out an album. Can you play any instruments? Do you know music at all? Have you taken any music classes? You understand mastery? Do you even hang out with musicians? Where's your practice point?
Don't shame me.
Yeah, don't shame me. You know what I mean? I don't understand what's wrong with all these men out there. I can help you. Let me introduce you. This is called a pitcher. Huh. Think about it. Do you take care of yourself? Do you invest in yourself? Do you wash your ass?
Wait a minute.
No, hey, I'm keeping it real. There'd be some stanky ass people talking about, I don't understand why nobody love me. You don't smell right. You smell inefficient. You know, it's just, I'm trying to keep the shit 100. Like, look at you. You want to be a man in a relationship, right? You want to be a man in a relationship. Do you do man shit? What responsibilities do you own? Or as a man, society, culture, and then you wonder why the woman doesn't treat you some kind of way. You want to be a woman in a man's life. Do you do woman shit? Do you even believe in that shit? Mm-hmm. But your ego tell you you're the best of everything I just said. I'm the most amazing, greatest, best, wonderful, and you'll tell me some high school picture and you're 65. Because in high school, I used to run track. Granted, if you don't sit your old ass down. Anyway, next slide.
Recently, after a talk I attended on the growing homeless population, the person sitting next to me commented on how easy it would be to solve this deep and complex issue.
So real quick, let me say this real quick. All right, let me change some. This is another tool I want y'all to change in your conversations. There's never a single causation for anything. Single causations are good for conversations. You know what's wrong with Kaja? That's great in conversations, right? Kaja talks too much on her podcast. Y'all be like, mm-hmm. You know what's wrong with black people? And you'll go to a single issue. There's no such thing. You know what's wrong with America? There's no such thing. So it's cool to have that barbershop dialogue. I'm not trying to remove that. But when it's time to work on something, make sure that your destination of a problem is just one of the lists of on your checklist, one of the possible options. A lot of times, most problems are a combination of problems, right? And so, if I say why are we dealing with homelessness right now? You would run a checklist and realize there may be a compounding of like 10, 15 different issues intertwined, and then have variations based upon the community and the individuals that exist in that community. So to land on one idea, which nonprofits are known for that trash ass shit because the way the human brain works, we often underserve because we're trying to simplify complexity. So understand your children. You know when my daughter does this, please don't stop at one problem. Say, one of the things I think causes my daughter response is this. In addition, this. You should have a long ass list of things you need to work on in your household to make your household better. If you think your household is a single change, You're waiting for a disappointing day to happen. So ego makes you think it's a single thing and you the only one that knows that shit. And if you go through the hood, all the so-called scholars in the hood, so they like Umar Johnson type people. So the problem is, brothers and sisters, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Keep going.
He was intoxicated with a little unearned confidence
Unearned confidence, Umar.
based on shallow understanding. So the problem seemed simple to him. However,
So wait, go back to the word. What kind of understanding do you have?
shallow understanding.
Another clue. Here's another clue for you. If you're examining a social or cultural or a human problem, and you can't get past a single explanation, your knowledge, your insights are shallow. Your insights are humans are fucking complex, man. Complex. You're probably copy and pasting somewhere, and then it's making a lot of assumptions, and some of those assumptions require some questions. So if you can't get past a single causation for a problem, go, how much do I own this problem? That's very important. That's extremely, if a room, a lot of times when you see a room, an echo chamber all becoming excited by a single problem, a single solution, it's called satisficing, which is the dominant personality in the room articulated well enough for the rest of us and our brain that doesn't want to burn calories to say, that sounds good to me. Let's ride. To only when you get out in the real world, it doesn't translate into a solution. Life is really a compounding, I think Charlie Munger called it Lollapalooza effect, where you bring together multiple methods to solve a single problem. But even when you see a company become successful and fail, you're analyzing the market, or you're watching stocks, or you're watching cultural and political trends, resist single points. Doesn't mean that the person doesn't give you one healthy hypothesis, but understand that even when especially when you go to the media, 99% of YouTube is trash. Let's just shit. This person said this. Okay, I know what's the comedian? What's his name? The black dude who played in the black movie. What? He's a soul brother. He was a soul brother in that comedy with Dave Chappelle. Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin recently came out and said some stuff, and he talked about his conspiracy with P. Diddy. I met Eddie Griffin personally. He's full of conspiracies. That's how he talks, right? But you would never know that if you saw his comedy shows and you saw him through television. But then you have the audacity to listen to him, and he goes, this is what's happening. Resist that kind of stuff. Because whether you know or not, that's lazy thinking. And if you get used to that lazy thinking, you will find yourself using that in your own life. Resist that kind of talk. Go ahead.
However, those with competence based on hard-earned knowledge didn't think the problem was simple at all. They were fully aware of the realities of the situation.
There you go. Next slide.
Confidence doesn't make bad outcomes any less likely or good outcomes more likely. It only blinds us to risk.
So confidence is real problems in business. There's some of business, and we're talking about even in our personal lives too, but I'm just stay in business in this space here. Real problems in business requires a process and hypothesis. It's a process and a hypothesis, not confidence. It's a process. So one of the things I told my team is I want us to create a document that says, when you present us with a problem that you're facing, we're going to run your problem through a process that will yield us rich hypotheses that we can test to reach a solution. That's the only way it works. What customers have a tendency to say when they hire us, what do you think the problem is? Which is, show me confidence that I want to see you tell me something, and I'm looking for confidence to know that you're talented enough to handle my problem. That's even the wrong approach to hire the right person. You want to find a person that can run your problem through the proper process. That's like you walk into a doctor and you say, Doc, last night I was coughing. Some blood came out. I passed out, I woke up. Oh shit, you got whooping cough. Here you go, take an aspirin. That's how you sound to the world. As opposed to, okay, let's run some tests.
Some tussin. Here's some tussin.
Yeah, I'll some Tesla. You're gonna be all right. Put a little Tesla on that. You know what I'm saying? Put some Vicks on your chest. Take a nap. You be good, right? No, doctor. No. Okay. So confidence is not is in business. Mind you, stay with me for a second. In business, you're seeking control and not embracing the control you don't have. So again, in business, you're seeking control because it's human. It's very human of you. But when you work with the public, you don't have that control. So you got to learn how to dance in a world where there's uncertainty and you don't have control. So in that world, processes is how you navigate, not confidence. Confidence is something you own. It's not the world in front of you. Confidence is like a narcissist trying to tell the world how to move forward. Let me tell you what I did, and I think this is what y'all need to do. Mm-hmm. So confidence is not an external lens to the outside world that helps you navigate and move with strategy. What is important is you have confidence in the process. I have confidence in and even in the process, there's certain problems that won't fit your process, that your process has to be upgraded or adjusted or redesigned for. And in the end, the goal is to get to some strong hypothesis that you can test. And all 3 hypotheses, 2 hypotheses, 5 hypotheses, whatever your testing methodology is, could all fail. And you may have to improve or tweak the process again because you don't own it. You don't own it. If somebody hired me right now to run a campaign for Asian children in Venezuela, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I can create a process to discover what I need to do. You see where I'm going with this? And the process is going to require a lot of listening, a lot of observations, a lot of testing. But when you get to the point, confidence will stop you. It'll remove testing. It'll remove the idea of hypothesis. You'll be rushing to stay consistent. So a human fallacy is we seek consistency over truth, right? So that's why a lot of times I can say, well, you're a good person, so I know you won't do that. And you're like, oh, yeah, I guess that's right, because you seek to be consistent. So when you're confident, because you're trying to be consistent, you'll rush to stand on the podium and tell everybody, well, this is what I'm convinced we need to do, and lead everybody to hell. See where I'm going with this? Well, that's cool, I guess, in the Mickey-Ficky world. But among some real shit, and your money's is going to be taxed behind bad decisions, you need to get that confidence out of the equation. That's leadership shit. You can have all the hype. You might be right 30% of the time, 40% of the time, but it still should be testable. So even in your leadership, you tell your team, this is what we're going to do. If somebody goes, can we test it? It should be testable. If it's not testable, you're leading it from a unilateral position, and that means that you have an ego or a defensive problem. Everything you do should be testable. If you're like, no, this is the way it is, I believe in it, you're trash. You're defensive. Cut it out.
When is that response a way for you to avoid actually thinking through something? And here's what I mean by that. What I've witnessed recently in the last couple of weeks was like, well, I disagree, but let's test it. As a way to avoid
it could be
the tension
you're right.
of
It can be used. I can use something like, you come to me and you present an idea, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a healthy ideation space. And I say, well, have you tested that? Prove it.
Yeah.
That's defensive. I know goddamn well you didn't test it. I know goddamn well you ain't gonna be able to prove it no time soon. Without the resources you have, you just get a paycheck. How the fuck you gonna prove that, right? Like that's gonna cost some money. But what I'm really saying is, I'm unilateral. Stop disturbing me with all this shit y'all talking about, because I believe I'm right, right? So it can be used in reverse, but this is much more simple. It's not really simple. Like this is not. Remember, like a lot of strategies like 2-headed coins. Exactly. Or you build a road and multiple vehicles can drive over. You don't build it for just one kind of vehicle. Okay, in this context here, as a leader who's trying to create an environment that's rich in innovation, I got to make it rich in its ability to be tested. Now, some things are like, for example, you'll see something that works and you just repeat and wash, right? Until it stops working, right? Because some things, if it just works, just run it. So that's not something that we're going to have. But when we have this point where it's a critical decision that can actually hurt us or give us a boost, and I'm making unilateral decisions, we got a problem.
What would you, sorry to stick here because I'm just really curious about how to navigate that. Like the guy, Alan Mullally, you had us watch a podcast and he was talking about an instance where he gave somebody feedback, but they kind of did something like that. And he kind of said, yo, did you see what you just did? And did you see the impact of that? Sometimes it's not that big of a stage. But in the case of if you're in a space where they don't have healthy ideation space, how can you help the space?
Okay, a couple things. One is that's a way harder question than you realize.
Okay.
And I promise you, because there's so many different strategies depending on the type of defense you're facing.
Okay.
So it's not a simple like just do A, just give it some T,
Right.
and everything will be cool. No, sometimes you gotta burn that motherfucker up. One of the things that reduces defense is that one podcast I put out about questions. So there's a podcast I put out about questions. Questions is a healthy way to challenge defensive environments, right? Now, sometimes you just got a dictator, right? You don't have to stay there. Let's cut it out. Let's stop. Even you staying there is part of the problem, right? Like if that environment is that defensive where they like, look, this is what the fuck I say, and I really can try. You can give me some feedback, and as they give it to you, they just throw it in the garbage can. That was thank you. Okay, then that means you need to move on from that environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to get to that conversation about different forms of defense. But even then, I'm not sure this will translate. I think that's an offline conversation.
Okay.
Okay, keep going. The ego.
The ego also makes us more concerned with maintaining or improving our perceived position in a social hierarchy than with extending our knowledge or skills.
This is an Oakland thing. That's an Oakland thing. Lamont, that's an Oakland thing. That last paragraph, we can look like we love that hierarchy shit without the learning process. You in Oakland, there's a whole group of leaders in Oakland right now that got the hierarchy look, talk, swag, move, everything. They even got some titles. But when it comes time to actually think through some process, it's like going back to the preschool and having a deep conversation. It's weird. All right, kids, we're going to discuss this accounting problem. Oh, I like dirt. Oh, God damn it. All right, next slide. One reason.
I'm moving. Sorry. It went the wrong way. One reason people find it hard to empower others at work is that having them depend on us for every decision makes us feel important and indispensable.
Okay, wait. So start that sentence off like Shakina. And you go, one reason. Go ahead.
One reason people find it hard to empower others at work is that having them depend on us for every decision makes us feel important and indispensable.
All right, the next one starts saying parents. One more time.
Parents. One reason people find it hard to empower
You
others.
use people
at
say
work.
children.
Children. Well, parents, one reason children find it hard to empower others at work is that having them depend on us for every decision makes us feel important and indispensable.
So all your little damaged ass, emotional ass, fucked up, no responsibility ass kids, you did it. Don't blame them damn kids. Them kids are beautiful. You did it. All the people, the boyfriend that you dating that ain't never did shit right, you did it. The girlfriend that be at the house talking about, I'm about to get a job, you did it. Your employees who, when you leave, they fuck up everything, you did it. The people who are not participating in changing the business that you're in, you created that. You have to empower people in your group, which is you got to challenge that thing that I'm the most important person. If you know you have a history of narcissism or ego, or having a big ego, and you think you change, be aware of this. If you think for 4 seconds, just because you went through ego training, the ego has been put in its place, I have a healthy warning for you. That ego redefines all words to continue to show the way it was shown up in the past.
That's real shit.
That ego, and God forbid, let you get a promotion and double your salary or grow your business, increase your business by Your ego will come back. It's a leadership ego because we ain't got the employee ego. We got the leadership ego right now. We got the upper class ego now. We don't have the middle class ego.
Hey, don't forget the spiritual ego.
Oh yeah, spiritual ego. Because
I'm
Jesus
holier
told.
than you now.
Yes. So ego doesn't quit because you expose. He don't be like, oh, you got me, and go. I'm going somewhere else. Find somebody else. You got me. Okay. I know. My name is Michael. Okay. But meet Leroy, and Leroy happens to be me. You understand me, baby? Yeah. And you know Leroy, we love everything you doing. You all good. But in the end, I don't understand why they didn't hire you, though. I'm just saying, because you know how Michael will come at you, but you know I ain't Michael. And you will really tell me, yeah, no, I've been working on my ego. You don't work on your ego. You're always working on your ego. Mm-hmm. Your ego will lie to you, just like my workout devil always telling me what I can't do. Your ego is is a life devil. So know that a lot of the weak people that surround you, you're probably the enabler. Go ahead.
Having them depend on us makes us feel not only necessary, but powerful.
Okay, watch that. Play with that. Black folks suffer from what? Since I've been doing this work, most common problem I witness amongst black folks, amongst some of my Latino folks, they don't feel like they're good enough. Right? A lot of us define the world through the lens of power. So you're always seeking power because in your eyes, the man with a hammer sees everything as a nail. So when you even looking at relationships and look at your kids, look at society, everything's going through the lens of power. So if you don't feel you're powerful enough, you are more prone to read it from having then.
Having them depend on us makes us feel not only necessary, but powerful.
That's a drug for you. That's a drug. Getting people to depend on you is a drug. I need you, Nana. You understand me, girl? Drug. Go ahead. White line.
All right, hear me out.
Go ahead. Yeah. You understand me? Go ahead, girl.
Okay, right. This is totally my press secretary kicking in. I'm aware of this, all right?
Okay.
It's there. When you just said that, having people depend on you is like, it's a power move, like you need it. My brain instantly pulled back the Rolodexes of classes and went into when we talked about intentionally as a business creating dependency through, what's the loop?
Feedback.
Nope. The entitlement loop, and how, like, as our job as a business, we are supposed to be trying to create dependency because that means that our product is like constantly getting consumed. Is like how well your product will survive is based on how much people need that product. Mm-hmm. So again, I do know. I'm
Man, that bridge you just built, that motherfucking bridge can connect Africa to America. Go ahead, just to be here, how you gonna connect those two places? So if you in New York, it is just like Ghana. So go ahead.
How you look at it? No, but I do. So I'm aware that my brain is trying to pull two strings together, right? I'm not delusional in that sense.
Okay,
I do
good,
know that.
Good. That's far.
Just want everybody to know. I do know that.
Okay.
But I am also curious as to what is the balance. So it's kind of like how you got to sell a product to people. So even though you don't want to be trashy like a car salesperson, you still have to know how to anchor, how to prime, how to get people to buy into something without drinking your own Kool-Aid, right? So I'm like, all right, as a business person that, like in my business, I'm a trainer, I'm a gym owner. So I am breathing, moving, selling health, wellness, taking care of yourself, all that shit, right? If I'm not, at least in the outside world, moving in that way, then I can't get other people to follow me. You know what I'm saying? So like my brain is like, what is the line between, hey, I want to teach you guys how to do this because I've got these 12 years experience and like I've really rooted myself in learning this so I could disseminate it to teach you, versus I'm not trying to be the cock blocker or the guard and say I'm not going to teach you where you can't know this, because I do try to give away information as freely as I get it, but I also am just really in almost like a purgatory of not knowing what that sweet spot is.
So let me say this real quick. So you gotta so I think you need to revisit all that and remove you from all those variables, because business is about building a story that does that, not you. I'd be like Walmart. Are you buying Tim Cook or Steve Jobs, or are you buying the story they built? Right? Steve Jobs would never. The most important people to Apple are the people who you see when you buy the product or you interact with the product, or the people you engage in on the front line. Right? Every CEO knows the most important people in your business is your front line, because most people don't hate. If somebody say they hate Apple, they don't hate the actual CEO. They hate the representation of the CEO's ideas. Mm-hmm. You copy and pasting yourself, and you getting in the midst of stuff, and you getting to the point where, hey, I can see everything come through me. Like, if I hire somebody, I'm hiring ownership, and then I'm going to train you to take ownership so you can help create this story that I built the story. Now you plug into the story and you bring life to it and you color it. You may color it your own way, and then you're coloring the way that you create to color it creates a story I can't even begin to imagine, because even my story had limitations on it, right? You having the colors you want creates a limited story. So you are not the most important thing in your business as far as visual brand. The most important thing in your business is whatever you put out there as the visual brand. America doesn't like Russia. Google is one of the number one companies in America, started by a Russian, right? Didn't even give a fuck. No, because you saw Google, right? Coca-Cola, you still don't know the CEO of Coca-Cola is, but there's probably images, commercials you can remember every day of your life, right? Geico, no, lizards do not run insurance companies. But in the end, you think of Geico, you think of a lizard. I'm saying to you that you're over leveraged, and it's because you're still in the early story of I built this. Okay, like I said, what gets you out of the hole can keep you limited. At some point, you are not good enough to build it. You got to take a story that you're protecting the story based upon what you're reading from the market as a leader. At some point, you might not be qualified to lead after a while. After a while, it's like, yo, I got it to this point. Woo, this is way outside my skills. I want to be a chairman on my board. I want to hire a CEO. Right? Like, there's different ways. The whole idea of thinking I am the most important thing kills even the greatest businesses. So how you carry yourself in public, yes, if somebody sees you and you like, I own a training company, and you got all kind of like wires to you from neglect, yeah, that might look kind of weird, right? But you could build that same company and be that 400-pound person if they position the right people and run it a certain kind of way with a dope-ass story and all those invisible things I talked about earlier. You're kind of looking at it from a tangible space. I'm trying to explain to you guys that this business shit is not tangible. Especially when you play the optionality game, I can AI myself and be a cartoon who's running my company. Like, it's that much of an option you have. It's a strategy, of course. I'm not trying to simplify it easy. I'm saying the very desire for you to think that all those things come into existence through you is a distortion. A lot of my growth of my company came not from me. Yeah, I run some of the core ideas, like say I'm the battery, but I'm definitely not the transmission. I'm definitely not the tires, the rims, the actual body of the car. But if I remove this battery, you're gonna have a problem, right? So and that might be a poor metaphor. But what I'm explaining is that I play a role, but my role, as a matter of fact, most of the time my role is managing the vision and direction and opportunities of the company. But then my salespeople are also mining opportunities, right? So it gets really, and the number one goal of me as an entrepreneur is manage myself where I'm obsolete. You don't need me to run this company. I told my our retirement plan is not to sell 5T Media, is to manage ourselves to the point that we're obsolete. So we can sit in on some meetings on Mondays, we can discuss some strategies, we can read documents and see where they're going, but the day-to-day work, this team is operating under a story that we built. You see where I'm going with that? but they don't need to see me ever.
Yeah.
Ever see me. Like they'll see me when I come in. There might be a picture of me like this. You know, okay, I'm just saying. No pictures? Okay, whatever. The point is this. It would inspire a lot of the, anyway, let me stop. Okay, so finish that paragraph. Yes, I don't know why y'all be hating on my players.
The more people who depend on us, the more powerful we feel. However, this position is often self-defeating.
It's self-defeating.
Slowly, and then all at once, we become a prisoner of the circumstances we created.
So once again, when people depend on you, it's gonna burn your ass out. And here's the funny part: you fuck around. Okay, there's no such thing, entrepreneurs, as working hard and having a stable personal life. You're gonna have to find balances. Kids don't give a fuck about, I'm making this money for you. They don't give a fuck.
No.
They care about, did you talk to me? Did you hold me? Did you spend some time with me? Did you watch cartoons you've watched 30 times with me already? This is what I have to go through. I just want to share this with y'all. And you better sit there and love it. And laugh like you never heard that joke 30 times. That's parenting, is cuddling. It's walking. It's touching hands. It's kissing. It's looking in their eyes and hear the stories that make no sense and helping them navigate that process. It's listening to notes being played and you keep missing the right note, but to you, like, come on, we can do it. Just keep practicing, baby. It's not, I made so much money for you. But when you make yourself the most important person, you are taking away from your decision is causing you to be taken from your children. So these decisions, you're sabotaging your relationship to the real world. You'll fuck around, 15 years will pass, and you'll realize you never lived those 15 years. You never even saw. You never saw somebody play a jazz horn live. You never been on a plane overseas. You never ate a food where you said, what the fuck, but it's kind of good. You never sat in a boat going through a fucking swamp. You thinking, what? You never met so many cool, you didn't live. You literally, if you really step back a little bit further, if you worked at a job overtime every day for the last 10 years, or you run your business for the last 10 years, it feels no different. Because part of running your own company is really going beyond the money, it's beyond the impact. But you can't have impact because you're too busy. So you have to make a make-believe impact. Yeah, you know what? I'm doing this because I want to change the black community. Black community don't even know you exist. They didn't even sit down with you. As an activist, I'm helping people out. Helping who out? Tell yourself the truth now. Who? Huh? So that's the sad part is, this is how you start the sabotage process, which is, I need you to see me. I'm so important. Now, when you start delegating, you get to go on a bike ride for 2 hours on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. You get to go to work out at the gym for an hour and a half. You get to go through other things because you delegate those duties. Doesn't mean that you disconnect or you become to a point that, because some days you're going to have to get back in there and work a whole week where you're going at it, but it's not all the time. You get the chance to break it up. You get the chance to really go on vacations and really be on vacations. But you got to delegate. Otherwise, you go on vacation. You ever seen, like, when a superstar comes out the game and the team just trashes, they drop by 20, 30 points? That means that other players are not they're not being told that you're responsible and taking ownership. They're just coming in like, okay, I was going to do this job, whatever. And then in order for us to win, you got to get back in there. Ask James Harden how that goes for him. Ask Kevin Durant how did that go for him once he left the Warriors. Ask Steph Curry this year, how did that work for him? Shit don't work. Shit don't work. The ownership has to be shared by all of us for us to achieve these certain kind of goals. And so a lot of times by your desire, because I don't feel like I'm good enough, and you get everybody to look at you because you're the most important person, you don't realize you're sabotaging your personal life. Keep going.
More and more effort is needed to stay in the same place.
Wait, what you say? One more effort to do what?
Is needed to stay in the same place.
That means 20 years, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what happened? Where you at?
Same place.
That means after you done read hella books, been in a whole class, where you at?
Same place.
Damn. That means you done lost 20 pounds, you eating all kind of vegetables and shit. Where you at?
Same place.
That means you done fucked around and saved some whales and all kind of shit. Where you at?
Same place.
Ain't that some cold shit? Damn. That means all that hard work is my work in vain, Lord? Yeah. Hell in vain. I told y'all.
And we approach the ceiling of brute force. It's only a matter of time until things break.
When you say approach the ceiling with what?
Brute force.
Like throwing the 315 type shit?
Yep.
That means you work extra hours and every time you see somebody, you go, I worked so hard out here. That means that you almost smile when you talk about how many hours you worked last week. And then you say, well, that's what you got to do. I'm trying to build some big things. I'm doing this shit real. I want to sacrifice what I need to sacrifice because I want to be successful. And it's not the sacrifice, it's the hard work. It's bad strategy over the work you're doing, which means you end up in a where?
Same place.
Same place.
Same motherfucking. You mean I done brought these track shoes and as hard as I run, I'm still here? Go ahead.
It's kind of fun being the antagonist of the class today. Forgive me. I'm not disagreeing. I'd like to propose another space.
Sure.
So the only thing I can speak of is myself because that's all that I know. I've spent the last 12 years building my company. The last 10 years, brick and mortar, grinding my ass off to figure out how to build it. And I was having a conversation with one of my clients that's from like year 2 of my brick and mortar. And she was saying how it's crazy how I'm like one of the few people in her life that when I say I'm going to do something, I actually do it. And how she's just like sat and watched me build my company. And then I like sat and I laughed and I was like, yeah, honestly, it's because of this class I'm in, Hope. But for a second, my brain, I struggle because like I have these like personalities where I have the press secretary that's always reassuring me I'm doing the right things and all of the sacrifices I made are valid and were worth it, etc. And then I have I don't even know what to call it, but I'll just say for sake, the dreamer in me that says not to put any decisions that you made down, but how could it have been better? Or like what could have made it different? And so often in my head, those two are battling between what does better look like and revalidating all the decisions that I made because that was all that I knew how to do in that moment. And then if depending upon my emotional and mental state, the wrong person wins, I just go into this tailspin of beating myself up because I didn't make the right decision. And so I'm curious how like you would share space with that, because I'm sure a lot of people have probably had the same or similar internal struggles of like, it's not right or wrong or black or white, like there's hella gray in the middle. So how do you show up to that space of what's enough, or when is it time to pull back, or when is it just, hey, you did your best with what you had and like figuring it out? Because I just feel like as somebody that's like practicing this day in and out and actually trying to be intentional about it, it gets really hard to have that all or nothing conversation every fucking day. Like it's exhausting knowing that on GP I'm gonna make hella wrong decisions. So then when my brain goes through that and I'm like, well, 70% of my decisions are wrong anyways, but I'm supposed to be strategical and I can't control this, but I need to focus on what I can control. Like it just gets to be like a beat up Shakina day. And then I don't know how to move forward. And so I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there because I have a lot of conversations with other people that I might be slightly ahead of. And they ask me these questions and I just laugh and I'm like, I don't know what high horse you got me on in your head. I be trying to be vulnerable about my flaws because I'm hella flawed, but I do I do have this drive that I will work. You won't outwork. I will not quit on myself, but it doesn't always mean that I have the right answers or that I know what to do. I just know I'm not going to quit. But I don't know. I don't know where that fits in attempting to grow, because like I'm in a space where I know that I'm doing stuff wrong. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it and change it, but it gets a little murky.
So you're saying, let's go before you discover you're wrong. How do you feel? So let's say today you wake up in the morning, and you haven't heard that any of your decisions, any of your strategy is wrong. How do you feel?
Content.
Why?
'Cause shit hasn't hit the fan yet, but I'm expecting it to.
What kind of game are you playing?
Attempting to play the long game.
Yeah, but what kind of game are you playing? Like, do you, like for example, you ever heard? You know why a lot of people gamble in sports? They get addicted to that energy of being on the edge, right? The person who doesn't understand what game they're in, often, or they don't understand where they should be positioned on the floor, quite often will destroy a team, right? You got to think about who are you before that moment happens, and I think that's where the discussion happens. Not if I say to you, "Bad job," and you cry, and he smiles, and she laughs. That's what's the word I'm looking for? You guys have a different inference. So I'm trying to go into a loop space with you, like go deep, a little bit further than, like answer, because that's not a victim conversation. That's a philosophy and approach conversation. How are you approaching this game? I move in this game. I wonder if you're really humble. Are you really humble to the game? Or are you trying to prove yourself and define yourself and you being broken when it doesn't work? Because if you're humble to the game, I ain't never going to be always right. Matter of fact, I live to be wrong. I think I told Lamont that. I live to be wrong. I also know I'm in a game called competition. Competition means that my best ideas may no longer be best because it might be outdated as fast as I can come up with them. So this ain't about right versus wrong, good versus bad. So my value is never on trial, right? I'm in a game that's going to be full of mistakes. I'm playing a probability game, not a guarantee game. So a probability game it's like going to Las Vegas. Let's say you're a master gambler. And let's say there's such a thing as a master slot machine gambler. If there was. I can get to that. That's so much psychology I don't get into. And the first time I pull the lever, I lose, and then I have emotional response. I can't play the game no more. I'm not qualified to be in this game. You're playing poker. First hand you lose, emotional response. You can't play that game anymore. Have you put yourself in the mindset of a real poker player that says, you're going to win some, lose some, you got to fold some, but this is all part of the game. And in the end, I'm never comfortable. So when I got free time, I gotta force myself to play, just laugh and be silly, because I really want to go do some studying. Because I realize it's like going to war, and I've killed everybody behind me, but the fallacy tells me that I'm going to be able to kill everybody in front of me. No such thing. So I'm not going to tell you stories. So as Lamont's getting me ready for war, and Lamont's trying to give me strategical direction, and I'm like, this motherfucker don't know I killed everybody before I got here. I'm about to die. But instead, because I realized that even though I killed everybody behind me, I put all that shit in context. Some of that shit was luck. Some of that shit was, I kind of learned the shit on the fly. How much did I really own? What's missing there? Where's a vacuum in my system? So now, when Lamont sits me down and goes, hey, Nana, that strategy you played, okay, shit was luck. That shit ain't gonna work going forward. I'm gonna be interested in listening to him. Because I know that tomorrow ain't guaranteed for me. And because there's competition, all my wins in the past ain't got shit to do with my future. Every entrepreneur that's successful knows that. There's no entrepreneur that's in this game that goes, because I won for the last 10 years, I'm going to win for the next 10 years. It doesn't work that way. So I'm used to being moved like clay all the time. Like clay. So I don't know how to feel like that when I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I'm excited, actually. What I'm concerned about is when you're wrong, you're personalizing it. Not saying, fuck, I'm wrong. right? What I'm thinking, I'm hearing you going, fuck, I'm wrong, not, oh, I had a wrong approach. All right, let me get back to the drawing board. Let me learn some more. Damn, what is my weakness? Oh shit, that's a weakness. I didn't know I had that weakness. There's hella weaknesses I find every year going, I didn't know I had this thing. I just talked about it the last week when I thought I was right about something, and I'm reading some material and around this subject because the client I was dealing with, and it's like, yeah, and as I'm reading the next chapter, and Nana, you're wrong. Oh, well, okay, all right. Oh shit, okay, let me restructure this shit and let me move forward. Because I realized also too, being wrong is a past experience. If you told me, last week you dropped your ice cream, what the fuck you want to do? Go lick the shit off the sucker cement? Go buy some more ice cream, bruh. I don't get to go back and be like, come on, your ice cream, come on. Right? So the reality is that I think some of us get stuck in the way that we're thinking is a challenge more than it's the feedback or the new discovery that's creating the weight on us. The new discovery should be doing a couple of things. Updating our software for our GPS system. Getting us excited about, so I'm working my ass off. That's why I can change that shit because I'm moving forward. But if you're that kind of person that lives in a bad defensive, I should have. I should have never. I done fucked up my life. Are you breathing telling me you fucked up your life? And with a stomach? How did you fuck up your life with a stomach? But in your brain, you thinking, because I didn't do right. I wasn't a good person. You're putting too much of your value into this conversation. This game you in right now, there ain't no perfect people. There ain't no perfect people. Ain't no. The only reason I'm going to look a little bit more advanced than you is because the amount of years okay, I'm a little bit more aggressive in my studying than you are. I'm also got more years in front of me, and I have a few more battles in front of me that I said, you know what, I was trash. I never sat around and said in your history, in your recent past or whatever past it was, yeah, but they. So all those battles you had that you pointed fingers, you lost all those opportunities to learn. Okay, well today, it's time to change that. But what we don't get to do is say you are or you aren't valuable. I was talking to a course son just a minute ago. And he was telling me about a business opportunity he had. It didn't go so well. And I'm like, shit, you won. He's like, yeah, huh? I was like, yeah, because you had an experience that your peers don't fucking get. He got a level of knowledge I don't fucking have. His father don't even fucking have. He has a win on his belt. But now, if he was emotional, he could be anchored in the loss and never see the win and literally treat the goal that he acquired as just sand. So what I'm saying is that if you're personalizing this class as right versus wrong, good versus bad, I should, it's kind of a defensive undertone that is going to hurt you, not just in business, everywhere. At some point in the game of moving forward, you should be able to look behind you and see a whole bunch of fuck ups, a whole bunch of burning buildings, whole bunch of motherfuckers behind you like this, whole bunch of shit. But in front of you, you're trying to create a whole bunch of people that just smile and shake your hand and saying, I'm glad you're here. And so you got to do that. Otherwise, if you poison yourself by those past stories, all you're going to do is poison stories in front of yourself. So if you've been doing something wrong, you say, okay, fuck it. All right, cool. And y'all got them 10 years. But if you think that's the only thing that all of us got some shit to do, I don't give a fuck how smart, intelligent, how many degrees you have, how many businesses you ran, how tall, short, or buff or fat you are. You got some shit. You've made a lot of fucking mistakes. And that's why it's so important that we put our values in the right place. Family, people, love, all these other things. When you start putting your value on trial, it's an unfair trial. You're not even being judged by your peers. You got a whole bunch of haters in your brain going, yeah, you shoulda. What y'all think? Yeah, you fucked up. You're never gonna win that trial. The reality is that, what do you value? Do you value the hugs, the love, the smiles, the fun, the cooking, the playing dominoes, the sitting with some people? Or do I tell myself, if my business doesn't grow, and this is the danger of that, a lot of times when you, and this is a dope ass concept. When you come from the hood, you're constantly under the brand that you're not good enough. White supremacy, media, you're not good enough. You finally get some money, your brain can get hijacked by, oh shit, now I got money? I told you I'm somebody. Now you now you position yourself now to be destroyed. Because now your value will always be in the concept, in the conversation of a strategy, as opposed to your value just being your value. So you got to pull that apart and say, I am an amazing person, But I'm playing a game that I'm not entitled to win. So what the fuck I'm sad about? What the fuck I'm mad about? And I'm wrong. I can promise you, without walking in anybody's business right now, all y'all fucking up. And guess what? The guy who just told you that, he fucks up. But guess what I love doing? I love discovering it, and I love changing, and I love tweaking. That's called working on your business. Otherwise, if we were some perfect motherfuckers, what we working on? I just wake up in the morning and be like, shit, give it to me, baby. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I'll be a Rick James like motherfucker in your life. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. The whole idea of perfect is such a mental construct of the stories you tell yourself. But if you tell yourself you're imperfect, and imperfect is what we all are, and can really sit in that space. Other thing too, don't give up control of your own personal value. Don't ever let a motherfucker, anybody, be able to tell you your value. Once somebody from the outside can tell you your value, it's not the person on the outside, it's your ability to give it to other people. No one has control over your value. No one has control over your value. Matter of fact, if other human beings in their group and the herd is not valuing you, it's probably because you're not doing what you're supposed to do for yourself. If you did what you're supposed to do for yourself, your life would be great. And the herd would love you for it. Because the herd would admire you because they say, damn, that's what I want to do for myself. But if you're at home, eating, smoking weed, sleeping, not handling responsibility, don't take care of your goddamn kids, fight with everybody, hella beefs with everybody, never finishing goals, not reliable, that's one of our biggest fucking problems, reliability. If you're reliable, you can probably get more money from just being reliable and dumb. But not reliable, but you're very reliable, your word is your bond. Like if I give you my word, go to sleep. I take care of myself. Every time you see me, I'm investing in myself. I don't stink. I got teenagers. I'm speaking from the heart. I don't stink, right? Now the crew around me is like, yo, we value you because of the way you show up, but because you invest in yourself, not because you're serving us. But some of us gets distracted at that point, at that line, and go, my value is based upon how I show up to you. So then that means I gave you the value to destroy me. No, the control sits with you. And the way you can feel confident about yourself is invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, then it gets real distorted real fast. If I'm not really putting that time in learning for real, I'm not really committed to it, I'm just learning what's necessary to get me to the next step, then it's easy for them to come along and tell me I'm stupid and I feel some kind of way. I don't feel some way because they call me stupid. I feel some kind of way because deep down inside, I'm not comfortable with myself because I know I'm not really doing the work. You see where I'm going with this? So to give that to me or the class or anybody else is a self-development issue, because here's something we don't have power over as entrepreneurs, as human beings. You don't get to control the public's response to you. If they want to call you heifer, that heifer up there run that business, right, that's my grandmother's word. My great-grandmother used to call them goddamn heifers. You don't get to control that. You may not like it, but you don't get to control that. Can you move in that face because of ignorant people down the hill who really envy you? Because remember, envy's coming for you as you grow. Do you realize if you can't move beyond their envy, then the envy is enough to destroy you? There's a rule. I'm going to close with this. Is my last point. And let me know if I didn't answer the question, or does that cover the value thing, that question?
It did.
Yeah, I try to bring it together.
It did.
She and her antennas were perfect. And some red antennas, girl. That's the best one. I gotta give you some red antennas. Make sure when I come back to class, I'm just playing. So, there's a reason. Here's something you might not see. This is my closing point. Do you know it's dangerous to help people who are lesser off than you? Because when you help somebody that's lesser off than you, they will often want to hurt you. Because if you qualify to help me, why can't you do more? So that's why a lot of times rich people don't fuck with poor people. Because poor people, because of envy, not their heart, not their intent. You might not do it in this room, but there's somebody on the block, because of envy, will come for them, right? There's a famous saying, Shakir family used to say this: everybody loves the devil because he doesn't do anything for you. And there's a statement, which is the invert of that, from Henry Ford. I don't know why these people don't like me. I didn't do anything for them. Think about that when y'all go home. All right, y'all. Close out. As they say in France, we.